Welcome, everybody, to day 3 of Blue Chip Scouting's live NFL draft coverage for the 2022 NFL Draft. I am your host, Dante Colonelli, joining you for a third straight day. Today, I am joined by Tyler Browning, Nick Price, and Andrew Harbaugh. We are going to be bringing you through rounds 4 and 5 of the NFL Draft, and then we are going to be bowing out for rounds 6 and 7. How are you guys doing? We had an interesting night 2 last night. What are we thinking here for day 3?
That's how I feel.
Yeah,
we got no. I think day 3 is my favorite, not only because it seems like the quickest because they get 4 rounds in one day, but it doesn't let you dwell on anything too much until after the fact. So I like how it's just constant hit, and then you also get the random guys. I feel like that this is when you get the people you haven't watched, people you haven't heard of. I always like seeing where, if any special teams guys go. We got 2 punters in Stout and Reza. So those are honestly the 2 things I'm most excited about today.
Nick, anything that excites you about day 3 of the NFL Draft?
well, and I'm going to put my homer cap on right quick. Baltimore has 6 fourth-round picks. So I'm going to kind of excited. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with all 6 of those. If they, use all 6 of those, they move around, maybe get, capital for next year. There's certainly plenty more players to add to an already stacked draft class. So I'm excited to see what they do. There's still quite a few guys on my board that I want to see get drafted, like Darian Kennard, Calvin Austin, Isaiah Spiller, Daniel Faalele. So we'll see what happens.
Browning.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who trades back. I mean, I don't think we've seen any trades or involving next year's draft capital, and that
just the Panthers getting back for Matt Corral last night. That's the only one.
Okay, so yeah, that just speaks to how the NFL views next year's class. They're coveting draft picks more so than this year. Only one trade for next year's capital. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if any teams can recoup mid-round picks next year.
Ravens might be a prime candidate for that, given that they have 6 picks this year. So any team looking to get up might want to deal with Nick's Ravens. We are waiting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to officially be put on the clock. They got this pick in a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars, allowing them to come up and select Devin Lloyd in Thursday night's draft at 27 overall. But before we talk specifically about Tampa Bay, I want to kick it to you guys. Nick mentioned a couple of the top players left on his board. Harbs and Browning. I mean, who do you guys have at the top of your boards right now? Your surprise is still here. You expect to go early?
I'll let Harbs
go ahead, Browning.
Okay. Darian Kennard is the first one on my board. He's player 37 for me with a second-round grade. Perion Winfrey, player 42 with second-round grade. Kingsley and Barre, player 43 with second-round grade. There's some interesting names here. Let's see who all else. Isaiah Spiller was mentioned. Yeah, there's some intriguing names at the top.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously for me with the skill players, Dulcich I have is still there. He had a day 2 grade for me. Spiller, obviously. Zamir White, I liked. He was my RB5. He is still available there. He had a day 2 grade. Tyler Batty, Calvin Austin, Pierre Strong Jr. Obviously Carson Strong and some of the other quarterbacks here. Obviously the big domino fell yesterday. But then there's also some other skill players down the line that I'm just kind of interested to see where they go. Obviously anybody that's drafted today from a skill player position is probably not going to be expected to earn a starting role. Obviously, there's always outliers. You've got guys like Doug Baldwin's the number 1 guy that always pops in my head. So definitely fits for those guys is going to be big as far as development goes. And obviously there are some rookie quarterbacks not rookie quarterbacks, second-year quarterbacks like Justin Fields. I'd like to see them get some more hope given to them. So plenty of skill players left, like I said.
Yeah, a lot of interesting names still on the board. And obviously, Harbs mentioned it there. The big dominoes today are probably going to be the other 2 quarterbacks that had a chance to go last night. Carson Strong, Sam Howell, still on the board after we saw Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, and Matt Corral go last night in the third round. Where do you guys see a good spot for them? Some of the spots where they could sit behind other players have been snapped up last night. Where do we like Sam Howell and Carson Strong potentially going?
I think I'm looking at New York. They picked 7 and 9 and 4 and rounds 4. Could be a spot for Sam Howell, Carson Strong to go to the Giants.
I like Howell in New York, and then for me, Carson Strong. This is just to kind of somewhat recuperate what shell of a human Fourness is at this point. The dogs are now going to howl because I brought up quarterbacks. We're talking about quarterbacks, so they're whining in the other room. Carson Strong to Minnesota is what I'm all about.
Carson Strong to Minnesota would be pretty cool, which, by the way, is the whole shtick that Tyler Fourness was on before he realized that he liked Malik Willis. He was photoshopping pictures of Carson Strong into Minnesota gear. We are just, again, waiting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to officially be put on the clock. I have not gotten word that they are on the clock, so we can talk a little bit about them. I'm hoping the picks come in kind of fast today. We don't keep anybody too long. What do we like here for Tampa Bay? They've had an interesting draft. Took Logan Hall, took Luke Gadecki. Okay, and we just got a trade in. So there you go. This is how we're just jinxing picks. I mean, that's what I do. Denver is trading.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Harbs.
That's the other fun thing with day 3. I feel like this is when all the trades happen because there's going to be people that are like, you know what, I don't like anybody here, so let's just give this pick away.
Yeah, so Denver is trading pick 96 to Indianapolis for a 2023 third and 179 this year per source, according to Jordan Schultz.
Who gave up the third in 2023?
Denver is trading to Indianapolis for a 2023 third. So it looks like the Colts are mortgaging a third next year to come up here, I believe. I think Jordan Schultz got the number wrong because 96 is already a pick that happened. He is not exactly the best source of information, but that is a reported trade that we possibly he has gotten a lot of numbers wrong. I have had to correct for him on the fly multiple times the past couple of days. But I guess we could talk about Tampa Bay since they're still on the clock here. Logan Hall, Luke Gadecki, Rashad White, I believe, was their other pick yesterday.
Yep.
What do we like for them here? Is this just BPA or is there still a need that they need to hit?
I mean, I think corner, would be a nice addition here. Anything in the secondary. You guys obviously are going to be the wheelhouse for that. Who are Browning? Who are the top corners on your board left? Because I know you love scouting them.
Let's see. I have Michael Wright, but I don't think he tested super well, so I don't expect him to go. Did Tariq Woolen go yet?
No.
He's there. Zion McCollum, Jalen Armour-Davis, Joshua Williams, and Darion Kendrick are my top names.
And real quick, just to interject, this is why sometimes I disparage Jordan Schultz. He is reporting trades that already happened. That was a trade up last night that let the Colts bring in Bernard Raymond. That trade already happened, although a much better source has reported that the Buccaneers are on the clock. So we should be getting started here in the fourth round in a minute. So again, that trade, Jordan Schultz, Starbucks boy, is not off to a good start today, but we will try to redeem him throughout the show. Tampa Bay finally on the clock here and with the 106th pick in the NFL draft to start the fourth round. Corner could be a big need. I kind of like Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State. I liked him a lot more than I was expecting to when I watched his film. I have a 5 on him, but I mean, I don't really split hairs on day 3 prospects. I mean, if I have a day 3 grade on you and you go on day 3, then I don't really care.
I was talking to Mike about that because with different things on grading scales, it's something that Jim Nagy, I remember, alluded to. I want that explained at some point too. That a lot of teams grade not per round, but by day. Obviously, the first round, day 1. But that's the nice part with today is where you've got round 4s through 7. So a nice wide range to kind of take who a team's board really like. You're fishing with dynamite. You get a much wider net you're casting, so to speak.
Yeah, agree. I usually do the day thing in my head, right? Like when I'm building out my board, for me, it's like I almost like giving players almost a range in my head. Is like this is where
Right.
I'm comfortable with them going. Because I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many factors that I'm not privy to as a draft analyst. Looks like the Blue Man Group is on stage in Las Vegas right now. They are performing something. I don't know. Nick isn't feeling too well, so he's going to be in and out of the stream. I think he might have eaten some bad Ravens draft picks or something last night.
OJ's getting to him, not the star running back, obviously, because we don't want
the star running. Yeah, I don't think we want OJ getting to Nick. That's definitely not the phrasing that we're going to go for. Oh man! So again, we're just
listen. It's day 3. All these draft picks today, you just got to take a stab at them. So I figured it was a perfect time for an OJ analogy. So starting out good.
Oh man, that's funny. Oh no, we're making murder jokes. Less than one pick.
Hey, nothing was convicted, so it's.
Yeah, that's true. The glove did not fit. They
right.
had to acquit. Again, we're just waiting for Tampa Bay to officially get on the clock. Roger Goodell is standing up here with a bunch of children. The Blue Man Group are spitting on a canvas with different colored pieces of paint. The NFL draft is a very, very weird time. The NBA draft, this does not happen.
No. Have either of you ever been to Vegas?
Yes.
No. Of course, Browning has.
A couple times.
To me, like, everything I've ever heard about it is it's a nice 2-3 day city, but if you're longer than that, you just absolutely want to get the hell out of there and you're just over it. So I've never been there myself, so I just didn't know if anybody else from experience. Dante's the king of South Beach, so.
Yeah, I love South Beach. I do not love Vegas. Not that I've ever been there. It just doesn't, I don't know. I'm not a big like gambler. So I feel like going to a place with that many casinos, like.
See, I don't like the games with gambling. I would rather just do my sports betting. So,
right.
We talked about the speed of day 3, and here we are.
And here we
talking
are
about Vegas.
Yes, talking about
and
Vegas
trips and.
Once it gets started, it'll get going. Yes. Hopefully, I am curious to see. We should put an over under how many players we've never heard of go in the 4th and 5th round. Usually this is where somebody makes a very weird pick. Whatever happened? Do you guys remember? I think it was either 2 years ago or was it Mayock's first year? They took that D3 kid in like the 4th round. Whatever happened to him? I forget.
Oh, who?
I forget. He was like a player that nobody ever had heard of before, and he went in like the 4th round, and all of us were like, "Oh my god, they did it."
2019 was that first year, right?
Yeah, and while you look for that, the pick is in. Per a source that I actually trust this time, the Bucs are taking tight end Cade Otton from Washington here with the 106th pick. This is a pick I really like. It seems like Harbs likes it by his reaction as well.
Yeah,
you want to talk a little bit about Cade Otton?
Manifesting it earlier today.
He might have been. I really like this one. Either you guys want to talk about it a little bit? We can kind of spitball here.
Yeah, no, I mean, Cade Otton came in. He was in the contention before in the summer for being one of the top tight ends in this class. Here he comes to round 4. Tight ends in general have been, I don't know about anybody else, ever since watching Kyle Pitts, I just feel like I'm constantly let down with tight end film because we were just completely spoiled with it. But Cade Otton definitely flashes. Did not have good quarterback play to support him at all while at Washington. Anybody that covers that team will tell you. So, no, I mean, now he goes from no good quarterback support at Washington to one of the best quarterbacks ever. And not only that, but he loves to use his tight ends. So I think Otton, if they sign Gronk back, I think that's still a nice little fit there. Otton has no problem blocking. He's a good receiver. So nice little developmental thing. And again, rookie tight end you don't expect anything from. So makes perfect sense here. I love this pick all around.
Yeah, I hate comps, as everyone knows, and I stick away from them, but I had a comp for Cade Otton. It was Jason Witten light.
Oh, that's high praise coming from a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah, from the Cowboy fan, that is high praise.
Yeah, that is really high praise, invoking the name of of Jason Witten. Cade Otton was my tight end 2 in this class. I had him graded slightly higher than Greg DeLuche, who went last night to Denver. So for me, I mean, this is an incredible value. I really like Cade Otton as your long-term Gronk replacement because, Gronk is taping that body of his together every week to get out on the football field. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to do it. So getting Cade Otton in, I think, is really, really good. That means you don't have to pay Cameron Brate again as well whenever his contract is up, if Otton develops the way that you want. I think this is a really good pick for Tampa. Kind of like their haul. Really like Logan Hall. I really like Rashad White. I really like the Cade Otton pick. I think the only one I have a problem with is Gadecki, but I think Tampa Bay adding a nice little young group of guys here to a team that definitely has Super Bowl aspirations. We can pivot to the next selection because it is in. The 107th pick will be the Houston Texans, and they're going to select Florida running back Damian Pierce at pick 107. Pierce, kind of a cult hero type running back for Draft Twitter. He had a lot of love on there. Harbs, another skill position guy off the board. You want to give us the lowdown on Damian Pierce?
Houston didn't get a running back yesterday, did they?
I don't think
because the Jets jumped them to get Hall.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay, so perfect. Yeah, I love this then for Pierce. Did not get utilized enough at Florida. Florida, under Dan Mullen, went from being a very efficient offense to being, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just going to throw my hands up in the air type of thing. And the running backs were constantly just getting shifted around. And so, again, as you heard yesterday, if anybody's watching from that, I love running backs that come into the league fresh. Damian Pierce comes into this league fresh. So, and especially with Houston, he has a chance to be the RB1 there from day one. I think in camp he can earn that. And then obviously Davis Mills, try to keep if you don't love your quarterback play, keep the ball out of his hands as much as you can. A reliable running game is what Damian Pierce can give you, I think. And then that would be a very good complement in that offense.
Browning, any thoughts on running back Damian Pierce?
Yeah, he was my running back 9. I think he was very underutilized, like Harb said, in Florida. He's sharp, decisive in his cuts. If a defensive lineman is able to get penetration early on, he's usually able to avoid them and at least get back to the line of scrimmage. Lowers his shoulder and takes on contact well, but struggles to maintain his balance. Spends time out at receiver, so he's got good hands.
Yep.
Reliable pass catcher. His biggest knock was his pass blocking. It's inconsistent. He throws his shoulder at times, has moments of mirroring the pass rusher, but for the most part, it's inconsistent. I like the pick.
I'll throw in, too, he talked about the blocking. It was bad at Florida, but that was something that at the Senior Bowl that I think they recognized, and they threw him into a lot of situations with that, and it looked a lot better. So I think once he goes through a full training camp, he's got the build for it to be a great blocking running back, too. So that I think can definitely be fixed, too. And plus, any running back that can block earns more rep in field time, too.
Absolutely. So Houston go with Damian Pierce. Another running back off the board before we hear Isaiah Spiller's name called, the running back out of Texas A&M. My RB1 in this class, by the way. So I am definitely down bad there. And we just got the next pick in. Pick 108 is going to be Oklahoma defensive tackle Perrion Winfrey going to the Cleveland Browns at pick 108. Yeah, so the Browns taking Perrion Winfrey. We'll go to our resident Browns fan. Harbs, thoughts on a defensive tackle from Oklahoma that you didn't watch?
We couldn't stop a goddamn nosebleed on the run game. So when you got a division that has Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, and a healthy J.K. Dobbins, you've got to be able to fill those gaps in the middle. And Winfrey was getting round 1 hype at one point this draft cycle. So the talent's obviously there, I'm sure. But I personally love anything that's helping stop the run. So, Browning, you want to give me some more excitement behind this?
Yeah, he's super explosive off the snap. Has his pads consistently below the offensive linemen's, understands low man wins, and subscribes to that philosophy. Has a good array of moves at his disposal, but I'm not sure he has a true plan of attack. He can eat up double teams in the run game and free up lanes for linebackers, but he doesn't anchor in the best against the run. I had him as a second-round player. I really liked Winfrey, and this is phenomenal value.
Yeah, definitely a three gap or three tech gap shooter, I think, is probably what you're going to get from Winfrey at the NFL level. So again, Cleveland having an interesting defensive heavy draft. They took Martin Emerson, Alex Wright yesterday. That was a pick that all of us really liked on last night's stream. And then here they get another pick that I think is pretty good value against both me and Browning Sports, who ranked Winfrey, the defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. That puts the Seattle Seahawks on the clock as we catch up a little bit to who is up next. The Seahawks will be making the 109th pick. They have made a ton of picks in this draft. What do we think so far about Seattle's class, and where do we think they should go here?
I talked about it on Twitter. I still love the Kenneth Walker pick. Like, I know it's Seattle and it's another running back, but they want to establish the run. That's something Pete Carroll's done since his days at USC. When his early days back in New England, when he had Curtis Martin, he was trying to establish the run. There's an old name for you. I'm pulling the Forness hat up. And then obviously now you've got Rashad Penny coming back on a 1-year deal. You draft Kenneth Walker. Drew Lock or Geno Smith's your quarterback, and neither of those should be too exciting if you're a Seahawks fan. The run game's about all you got. I know on Twitter, Mina Kimes hated the pick too, but again, I think I love Mina Kimes, but I think it'll be okay. I think this is a very good pick for them. And then obviously Seattle always drafts weird, but I also love the Charles Cross pick in round 1 too. That was a little bit of a curveball none of us expected.
Yeah, I mean, it was a curveball because they made the right pick, so
Exactly.
It almost feels weird, like being like, Seahawks. And the pick is in. It is Cincinnati cornerback Kobe Bryant with the 109th pick. So Kobe Bryant coming off the board. I wish Nick was still with us to talk about another AAC guy. But Kobe Bryant coming off the board here. The Seahawks going back to that corner well, something that they have been very successful with on day 3. Browning, did you watch Bryant? I can take him if you didn't.
Let me see here. I did not get to Kobe Bryant.
Okay, I can talk a little bit about Kobe Bryant. He was the CB2 across from Sauce Gardner. And honestly, I was wildly impressed by one thing with Kobe Bryant is that he was consistently challenged because nobody in their right mind was throwing at the other side of the field in Sauce Gardner. If you watch Sauce Gardner's film, I mean, this man gets like 1 to 2 targets a game tops. And they were just throwing the ball constantly at Kobe Bryant, and he held his own. He kept Cincinnati's defense as one of the best in the American Athletic Conference. Just a ton of PBUs, good ball production. He's a scrappy player. He's not the best athlete in the world. This is probably about the right range for him. But I think he can be a really solid starting cornerback too at the NFL level. I don't think he's ever going to blow you away, but I do think that he can be a really solid starter. And that's what you're looking for in the 4th round. So I'm a big fan of this Kobe Bryant pick for Seattle. And again, as we kind of talked about at length, before we got this pick, I like a lot of what Seattle's done. They got 2 tackles that I think were at good values in Charles Cross and Abe Lucas. The Kenneth Walker pick, I think we can split hairs about, but I really like Boye Mafe, and I like this follow-up of Kobe Bryant here as well. No quarterback. Could have been a Sam Howell landing spot, a Carson Strong landing spot. Didn't happen here.
If I recall correctly, Kobe Bryant earned a little bit of a ball hawk reputation a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, he has good ball production. He's a solid corner. I like him. Again, I mean, so many teams were throwing at him because they refused to throw at Sauce Gardner, and he just got so much experience making plays on the ball that I think that he has done a really good job developing that part of his game over the years for sure. All right, well, Seattle, another pick in the in their haul. We think that they've had a pretty good last couple of days. The Baltimore Ravens, Nick Price's favorite team, are going to be next up on the clock. Speaking of teams that we thought had a really, really good last couple of days, the Ravens have drafted incredibly well against all of our boards. Kyle Hamilton, Tyler Linderbaum, Travis Jones, I believe, have been their 3 selections, unless I'm missing. Oh, David Ajabo as well. I can't believe I forgot about that. My 20th overall player going to 45. Can this get any better for the Ravens, guys?
I mean, Darian Kennard, if they need him.
It would be really good value, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think Woolen too, another corner. I know they've got Peters and Humphrey there, but gives you a bit of a speed guy to add some flexibility there too. So somebody that you could develop too, with two great corners kind of ahead of him too.
Zion McCollum would be an interesting name for them.
Yeah, it's a guy I know that you watched and you really liked. We were talking about him pre-show. You have a 3rd-round grade on him, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess you're hoping he gets to Dallas. Not sure when Dallas picks, but I have the pick, and Nick is going to be so happy. I really wish he was on stream with us. He's not feeling well today, but the Ravens are selecting Minnesota offensive tackle Daniel Falele with the 110th pick of the NFL draft. A player that I got the opportunity to watch in the Big Ten. Browning, did you watch him?
I did. I had a 4th on him, so this is good value.
Look at this.
Look who decided to push through to talk about Daniel Falele. Nick.
All right. Here's the deal. The stars of the line. I'm gonna try quit being a pansy and try to talk about this as my stomach is fighting World War I trench battles.
You are sweating, my man.
I am. Listen, Falele, Baltimore likes their big, nasty offensive tackles. Think Orlando Brown Jr. Falele, humongous athlete, 6'9", almost 400 pounds. Big thing with him, no pun intended, is that he plays very high in his stance, and it causes him to get doubled over pretty easily. He needs to worry about dropping his weight, keeping his pads low. But as pure as a run blocker, he can maul people. He can literally just look at people and they fall over. That's how powerful he is.
He's
going to be looking at.
Go ahead, Harps.
I was going to say he's going to be looking at Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett, and T.J. Watt. So he better get used to the intimidation. Is not going to work right away. But I mean, obviously the physical tools are all there.
Right. I mean, he doesn't have to play right away, which is great because he's still very technically raw. Because they signed Morgan Moses, but Moses is a bit older. So I mean, at most you could expect Falele to play in 2 years. Granted, you also have to worry about if Ronnie Stanley's out. You got a guy who could probably come in and give you some solid play.
Trade.
Oh,
go ahead, Browning.
Chicago trades a 2023 6th-rounder for 2 7th-rounders from the LA Chargers.
Goodness gracious.
That's I don't want to make these picks type of trade if I ever heard one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Daniel Falele going to the Ravens. And I have the next pick as well. The Jets have selected Louisiana Lafayette offensive tackle Max Mitchell. So back-to-back tackles coming off the board. Tackle was a need for the Jets that they did not address with their first couple of picks. Nick, if you want to bow out again, man, you don't have to stick around if you're not feeling good, man. I know you want to talk about Falele, though.
I do. I really do. But my chest hurts. My head hurts. I need a nap.
You've done good work. Call it a day. We'll talk about Max Mitchell. He is the selection here out of the Sun Belt Conference, Louisiana Lafayette, offensive tackle. Browning, did you watch Max Mitchell?
I did, and I actually had him higher than Falele. Let's see. His arm length wasn't the greatest. He only measured in with 46 percentile arms for offensive linemen, but it didn't really show up on film. Consistently initiating contact with the defender, has some lapses of lunging, and he can get off balance when he's picking up twists and stunts, but he's generally able to recover before it affects QB. Has good hand placement. It doesn't always land, but when it does, it's usually clean. Has flashes of being a violent player, good football IQ, gains depth with his kick slide and anchors in well. Played left tackle and right tackle in his collegiate career. Very good run blocker. Moves people off the line of scrimmage very well. Explosive out of his stance. I had him as a 3rd rounder. I like the value here.
Yeah, I had Mitchell, I believe, in the 4th round. This is about appropriate value according to my board. I think he's a pretty solid player. Not quite as high as I had Robert Hunt a couple years ago out of Louisiana Lafayette, but a very different player. I think the Jets get a pretty good investment at tackle here. It seems like they're going to be comfortable rolling with, whatever combination of Mekhi Becton, George Fant, and whoever else ends up playing. Chuma Edoga is a player that exists. Their former 3rd-round pick from USC. I have the next pick as well. The New York Giants picking right after that at number 112. They are taking San Diego State tight end Daniel Bellinger. Not a player that I watched, so I hope that our fantasy guys watched him. Harbs, any thoughts on Daniel Bellinger from San Diego State?
And you said to the Giants, correct?
Yes.
He's completely different than what they had in Dawson Knox. Not Dawson Knox. That's who Dable had.
Bill.
Evan Ingram. Bellinger's a fantastic blocking tight end, kind of a throwback to the old school San Diego State. Obviously likes to give the running backs a lot of production, a la Rashad Penny. But he showed at the Senior Bowl to becoming a little bit more of a natural pass catcher. So it's something he's definitely worked on. You could tell. He had a day 3 grade on me. He was not very high on my tight end ranking, just because the way the league uses tight ends now, I didn't think it necessarily fit. But he was my tight end 11. But I mean, I think it's definitely something that, again, Brian Dable had Dawson Knox. I think it's going to be something where he can kind of turn him into that same type of role. Knox has become a reliable blocker on the edge for Buffalo, while also kind of evolving as a receiving threat. I think they could probably do the same thing with Bellinger. So a nice little project for Brian Dable and that Giants offense.
Yeah, the Giants are currently leading the pack for drafting players that I did not watch. I believe that's the 3rd player that they've drafted in a row that I did not get eyes on this year. Browning, did you watch Bellinger or no?
I did not. He was next on my tight end list to get to, but I did not get to him.
All right.
I think he tested insanely well at the combine.
He did test better than expected. I'll throw this in too, just to kind of put a bow on the Falele pick, because I have NFL Draft or NFL Network up, and the first thing Daniel Jeremiah said was he reminded him of Orlando Brown Jr. as far as how he tries to physically impose stuff. So obviously, Nick, the Ravens fan, knows what he's talking about here, and he's excited to have him.
All right, well, I guess we'll move on then, since we have limited eyes on Daniel Bellinger. The Washington Commanders are going to follow that up, and I actually already know who the pick is, and I really wish Mike was here with us today, because this is another Sun Belt player. His guys are going off the board right now. Washington Commanders are selecting Percy Butler. I believe he is a safety from Louisiana Lafayette, if I'm not mistaken. Percy Butler, the selection here for the Commanders. Anyone get eyes on him? No, yeah. See, this is why we need Mike on day 3, because Mike watches all the players. Let's see what we can dig up here. Percy Butler, Raging Cajuns. He is a 6 foot 191 safety. He obviously was a Senior Bowl watch list guy this offseason, had 61 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 1 interception, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 pass breakup, and he also blocked a kick. So it seems like an everyman, Percy Butler, going to the Washington Commanders. Let's talk a little bit about the Commanders generally here, since we don't have a ton to say about Percy Butler. Took Jahan Dotson. What do we think about their overall haul so far? I think it's been a little bit. And there is our there's our Sunbelt scout weighing in. He can't be with us today, but he is watching. Another reach by the Washington Commanders there with Butler. They took Dotson at the top. I mean, what do we think about this team's draft so far? A little bit weird, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought Dotson, and I love Dotson too, but I thought that was a bit of a reach in round 1. You already got Terry McLaurin. I don't know. Just they always draft weird. But Tyler, you were going to say something though.
Well, we did get the next pick as well, which I'm not
That's
sure if
what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dane Belton, the safety from Iowa, is going to be the next pick. So the Giants make 2 out of the last 3 picks. They'll take Max Mitchell first. They are having the Cake Boss announce that right now on screen.
I saw
which is
that.
hilarious. But Dane Belton is the selection here, the safety from Iowa. Browning, if you watch him, I'll let him talk about him. Let you talk about him. If not, I can take it.
I didn't use another first one that I missed on my watch list. I know Brugler was fairly high on him mid-season, but it seems he dropped off towards the end.
Yeah, I think for Belton, honestly, I think you're getting a special teams ace here. I think that's probably where he's going to play early in his career. I think he's a pure box safety. I think you're going to have to play him in either a overhang role, or you're going to have to really just keep him in the box as like a robber or something like that in that type of defense. But he's a very, very strong tackler. He's a very, very smart football player. I like this pick for the Giants. It's a little bit of a reach against my board. I don't particularly value special teams skill incredibly high, and I think that's where Dane Belton ends up. But I do like this pick. I think he's a functional player. I think he's a guy who's going to stick on your roster. When you're on day 3, I mean, I think that's about as good as you can ask for, frankly, since given the draft is such a crapshoot. And I believe Denver is on the clock with 2 straight picks after this. I think they have 2 in a row, unless we want to keep talking about the Giants here.
What position do you think Denver should go for at this point? Because I mean, I think offense they're pretty much well set. I think defense at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think this should just be BPA. I mean, whoever the heck's at the top of the board, I think you just throw the card in. I really like what they did yesterday. I like what they've done in general. I think getting Benito and DeLuch are 2 pretty good players there in the 3rd round. So, or I guess one of the picks was last in the 2nd round. But yeah, I don't know. I think Denver just, whoever the best player available is, that's the pick that they should make here. Obviously, defense, I think they need a little bit more help than offense. But hey, it never hurts to draft Calvin Austin for Russell Wilson, another player that I'm really surprised is still on the board. I mean, tested really well. Browning, Harbs. I mean, do you guys like Calvin Austin as much as I do? I had a 2nd-round grade on him.
Yeah, I think he had a 2nd-round grade for me too.
He did for me as well. A low 2, but he had a 2.
He was my highest graded 3rd. So I mean, he could have gone 2nd.
Okay, so we're all pretty much in the same tier there. I guess it's just the size is the problem. Is that why we're out on Calvin Austin?
I blame Tutu Atwell. He ruined this for all the small guys.
Yeah, I mean, but Wan'Dale Robinson went yesterday to the Giants.
That was the Giants though. So
yeah, but they're run by Joe Shane now. If it was Dave Gettleman, I'd be like, yeah, sure. They're just doing something dumb. But I actually think Joe Shane knows what he's talking about. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and there's looking at the other receivers that are available. So work down here the whole Control F. So we've got for who's available. I mean, you've got Bo Melton, who's a bigger guy. Rambo, who's not tiny like him. Trifogel, Shakir. Khalil Shakir, I'm surprised is still there too.
Yeah.
Kyle Phillips with the East-West Shrine week he had. Other than that, everyone else really doesn't surprise me at this point. But yeah, I mean, Calvin Austin.
Surprised, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The next pick is in the Denver Broncos, the first of their 2 picks. They are taking Pittsburgh cornerback Damari Mathis, a player that I got eyes on super late, so I don't have a ton to say about him. Browning, did you watch Damari Mathis?
I did not. I think he's a nickel guy, if I remember correctly. But
yeah, he tested really well, and I think that he's been a late riser in this process, a good athlete. I think that this is a pretty solid selection for Denver, a team well known for developing corners. I think he could be a nickel or an outside guy, depending on your scheme. Denver likes to run a lot of that Fangio-style defense still, even with those guys in there. If I remember correctly, I think it's still that same scheme that they're going to end up running, even with the new defensive coordinator. So they'll run a good combination of zone and man. So I think Mathis is a solid developmental option in each of those zone and man schemes. So I think that's a solid pick there for Denver. They're still on the clock, so I guess we can keep talking about the Broncos. We'll take this another direction. We'll take this a little bit outside the draft as we wait for that other pick to come in. What are your expectations for Denver this year? Is this Super Bowl or bust with Russell Wilson?
I think it's mid-round of playoffs or bust.
Yeah, I think Super Bowl's a bit rich, especially with, I mean, whoever wins that AFC West, I think is going to come out and be one of the odds-on favorites for the Super Bowl. I still don't know if Denver can be that. Obviously, you're going to have a first-year coach, and Nathaniel Hackett, not Gary Brackett or Jim Hackett, as I massacred yesterday. But I don't know. There's just still a lot of question marks with that team. And it's always tough when you see somebody go up. I mean, we just saw the Rams do it where they traded for the quarterback, loaded up that offense or that roster, and then obviously won the Super Bowl. So it can be done, but it's kind of like how we'll go to another sport here. When Boston got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett and got their big three and won a title, everyone else wanted to have big threes, and it just doesn't work that way. So I'm skeptical, but I mean, if they come out of the AFC West, I'll be a believer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Super Bowl or bust for Denver at some point. Just not quite sure it's this year. I think probably in the next 3 years they're going to have to figure that out for sure. Which probably you could say about any team, as they are still on the clock here with the 11th pick of the 4th round. Again, just took Pittsburgh cornerback Damari Mathis, a late riser in the draft process after testing really, really well at the combine. We are still waiting on that pick.
A stat for Damari Mathis that popped up was he had the 3rd lowest completion percentage in Division I with, when targeted, 43.3%. So
it's pretty good.
Obviously, pretty good in coverage there.
Yeah, and the Broncos really, again, just a team well known for developing good corners. So I think you like that spot for a player who might need a little bit of molding, even though that coaching staff changed over. A lot of really solid players in that room. We just saw Patrick Surtain have a really, really solid rookie season, even though it worked out for the Broncos there. They were able to get Russell Wilson despite passing up on Justin Fields. Again, still waiting for that second Broncos pick. They are taking their sweet old time, man. Wake John Elway up. What's he doing?
Speaking of waking up, you guys completely let me say that Dulcich was available on several occasions when he was drafted by Denver, so I appreciate it.
Well, I tried to slip it in that he got picked by Denver about 10 minutes ago, and I was hoping that you would notice. I didn't want to call you out on stream. I was just hoping
you should have.
I could slip it in there. I'm trying to be a good host for my people here. Yeah, Dulcich not available. He was the, I guess, the Noah Fant replacement. At least that's what I would use him as. I think you just plug him into those reps.
So looking ahead here, because I'm looking at the ticker on Draft Network, NFL Network. Such a good name for them too. For Isaiah Spiller, like this, I don't know. I know the running back position is not valued by the NFL anymore, but like you've got the Jets who aren't going to do it. I don't think Cleveland maybe opposite Chubb. You got Baltimore, who I said yesterday I thought was a good fit. Washington, who already went to that well. New England maybe. The Chargers, Cleveland again. Miami is coming up here soon too.
Yeah.
Would you like Spiller there in Miami?
We do have the pick. Oh man, I'm going to try this. Broncos select Iowa State defensive tackle Ioma
Uwazurike.
I got Uwazurike. Yeah. Okay. Well, Iowa State DT. Browning, did you watch him? I watched him a little bit. That's another Mike Hernishin guy.
Unfortunately, I did not. He was another player that was right outside my watch list, but he's fairly disruptive from what I've seen.
Yeah, he's a player that I got to late because he was pegged as a potential Dolphins target when I started doing work for them for SI. He was a guy I considered writing up. But on Buzurike for me, long, versatile up front, 3-tech, maybe a 5 if you want to stand him up and use his length. He's pretty powerful. He's skinny. He can get himself into gaps and be pretty disruptive that way. So back-to-back defenders off the board there for the Broncos. I think with high upside and Onwuzurike and Mathis, I think 2 developmental guys that they're going to have to mold, but I like the pick.
So something that I don't know why none of us thought of beforehand. I just pulled up the Onwuzurike scouting report off of the bluechipscouting.com. And Mike's summary on him is Onwuzurike has been constant in the Iowa State defense and stepping on campus back in 2017. After earning the starting gig in 2018, he's improved each season. However, in 2021, I don't know why I just said it that way, he took massive strides in his ability to rush the passer. He'll be an older prospect in the class in a league that values defensive tackles that can get to the quarterback. Onwuzurike should find himself slotted comfortably in the draft's 3rd day. So look at that. Mike knows what he's talking about.
Look at that, Mike, our resident Big 12 scout, doing a nice job there on Onwuzurike. He is very, very excited in chat.
And he's coming off career highs in tackles for losses and sacks, too. So
he did pretty well at the Shrine Bowl.
That's right. Yes, you covered the Shrine Bowl for us. So nice to see some of the Shrine guys go a little bit higher this year. We've seen a couple of them go, I believe, a little bit higher this year.
I think Galco's got it kind of set up to where obviously being in Vegas, I think helps kind of bring media in, and that's where the draft was obviously too. But I definitely think it kind of got a little bit more hype than normal and there's a lot more focus, I feel like, on the players, where I feel like this is not a shot at this at all. I feel like before the focus was really on the whole Shriners aspect of it, to where it was like a charity event, whereas now it's like the NFL's treating it like this is another Senior Bowl week, and now we have another chance to look at these guys for the whole week. So definitely going to be, I think, a Shrine Bowl heavy week.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
We can pivot to the New York Jets, who are back on the clock. They took Max Mitchell, the tackle out of Louisiana Lafayette, with their last selection. I really, really love what the Jets have done. And I actually know the pick. It is Michael Clemons with the 117th overall pick. Not a player that I got eyes on again either. So defensive end Michael Clemons, I believe he's a Texas A&M prospect. Browning, did you watch him in the SEC before you transitioned?
I watched him over the summer. I didn't get to do a final eval on him. Let's see if someone did here. They did not. So let me pull up.
Nick Price has weighed in from his coma to say that he is not a fan of this pick. Nick is our edge guy, by the way, so I think that his perspective on this is pretty warranted. So Michael Clemons, the Texas A&M defensive end, we can pivot away from him. Let's talk generally about what the Jets have done this weekend, because even if we don't like this pick, I stopped to announce the pick. I think they've done enough. I was about to say, I think they could draft whoever the hell they want with these next couple of picks, and I don't really give a crap. I think they've done a really good job. Harbs, you feel the same way, I assume?
Yeah, no, like I said, I mean, they had two top 10 picks with Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson, who I love both. Well, there's more pooing on Michael Clemons.
The Vikings have traded up per Ian Rappaport. Sorry to cut you off there, Harbs. So the Vikings are coming up here. Is this our spot? Is this our Carson Strong, Sam Howell spot? I don't know. I'd like to see it. I mean, they've only passed on quarterback 13 times, it feels like.
They switched with Cleveland?
Yeah, they switched with Cleveland.
Yes, I believe so.
Do you have the compensation on that from Rapp?
I do not. Ian Rappaport, 38 seconds ago, just said that the Vikings have made a trade and are now on the clock. So, again, swapping picks with Cleveland. Not sure what the comp is on that just yet. When I get it, I'll announce it to you guys. But do we think the Vikings are coming up for quarterback here? Or do we think it's something else? They've been pretty defensive heavy so far. Is there a defender that, I don't know, maybe strikes their eye a little bit here?
Another corner. I mean, yesterday I was really hyped with them getting
and I do have comps, so sorry to cut you off again.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Keep cutting you off. The Browns are trading pick 118, so that's the pick the Vikings are coming up for. They're moving back to 156, but they are getting a 2023 fourth in return for this trade up. So the Browns getting fourth next year to move up. The Vikings are giving up a fourth next year to move up from 156 to 118. So the Vikings are making this pick.
And Cleveland also owns, it'd be 1920. They own 124. So really it's them moving back a little bit and getting that fourth.
Yeah.
Great.
Feels like a no-brainer, especially because of what Browning said at the top there. You know, we expect next year's class to be a little bit better, at least on initial viewing of some premium positions, specifically quarterback. But I think even at some other spots, I think we're expecting a little bit more of an uptick in talent next year. So, Cleveland stashing that pick for next year. Maybe they can use that in another trade to get themselves up the board. But very interesting to see what Minnesota comes up for here. I hope it's a quarterback, because I think that would be more fun to talk about than them coming up for, I don't know, a cornerback or something like that. But Vikings have had an interesting weekend. Ed Ingram off the board. They took Lewis Cine after trading back in the first round at 32. We've seen them go defensive heavy. It seems like they're going all in on Kirk Cousins. What do we make of Minnesota's weekend?
And they got Booth Jr. too, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, I love their draft outside of the human that Ed Ingram is. But as far as football players go, strictly, I think they've done pretty well. Browning, what do you think?
Yeah, the Vikings got Booth in the second. Let's see. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, I have
Someone's
the
gonna get
pick. It's come in.
A strike.
Yeah, someone is going to get a strike. Vikings are selecting Missouri cornerback Caleb Evans with this pick. So the Vikings are coming up for a cornerback, just as I said I didn't want them to. But they are coming up for a cornerback here, Caleb Evans. Browning, did you have a chance to watch him?
I watched him over the summer, and he has vines for arms.
Yeah.
Super long arms. He got a third from me over the summer. Really liked him. Tulsa transfer along with Allie Green. They both went to Mizzou. Fits very well in a zone scheme. Not sure what the Vikings run, but he has all the traits you want in a day 3 dart shoot.
Yeah, I think Evans is an interesting case study. I mean, he's one of the most aggressive physical cornerbacks in this entire class. Like Browning said, really, really long arms. He loves to play and press at the line of scrimmage and really jam up receivers early, get them off their stems. And he does a really, really good job of that. So if that's what the Vikings are looking for, I think they're going to be happy with this selection. Obviously, I think getting more cornerback talent in that room was very important to them. Like we selected Andrew Booth, pairing him with Lewis Seen. So it really seems like the secondary was the position that they felt like they needed to invest the most in and honestly redo the entire thing. You're bringing in a potential starting safety, a potential starting cornerback, and now a developmental player with a lot of traits into Caleb Evans. Again, like Browning said, a Tulsa transfer. I had a chance to see him pretty up close and personal when he played at Tulsa. I thought he was pretty good there. I think this is a good spot for him in the 4th round. I like what Minnesota has done as well as far as rebuilding that secondary. They also added Brian Asamoah, the linebacker out of Oklahoma. So they're really just going all in on defense. I think the only pick to grovel with is the Ed Ingram pick, even outside of the human. I didn't particularly love his film either. So we can move on from the Vikings who made that trade up. Baltimore is on the clock for the 2nd time. Today, they took BCS staff favorite Daniel Falele with their first pick of the 4th round. They've pretty much drafted a BCS brand player at every step of this process, so we're very happy with them. So I ask you guys again, can it get any better for the Ravens?
Damian Kennard.
He's still on the board.
Yeah, and I said Tariq Woolen, so me and Browning will just keep campaigning for our 2 guys.
Surprised you watched Tariq Woolen. He's not a receiver.
I know he's fast, so
I'm
a casual box score scout for defensive players. So
that's
plus I'll drop the occasional PFF stat that NFL Network throws up. So,
and I have the pick. It is a corner, but it is not the one that you just mentioned. It is Alabama cornerback Jalen Armour Davis, the selection at number 118 for the Baltimore Ravens. This is probably the first pick that I'm not over the moon about that the Ravens are making. But again, who the hell cares? Browning, did you watch Armour Davis?
I did. Let me get to a scouting report.
This is a throwback pick for Ozzie Newsome, taking an Alabama player for Baltimore.
Absolutely. And they needed help at corner. So I think it makes sense if he was the top corner on their board. We've seen a couple corners come off the board here recently. Damari Mathis, Kobe Bryant. So the Ravens wanted to make sure they got their guy here. Browning, if you want to expand on Jalen Armour Davis games a little bit.
Yeah, he got a mid-3 for me. He stays on top of routes and man in the wide receiver's hip pocket. Good technique and press, sidesteps when receivers initiate the release. Doesn't open up his hips early. He can get out physical during the stem of the route. Carries routes in cover 3 well. Good at disguising coverage pre-snap. Fluid hips, clean transitions. Has pretty good ball skills, able to locate the ball in flight. He's feisty against wide receivers when deconstructing blocks. Able to disengage from them, make the stop. Good awareness, reliable enough to be the last man in a one-on-one scenario with the ball carrier. He's tall, he's lengthy. I like him.
All right, well, there you go from our resident cornerbacks guy. We do have a trade to announce as well. The Commanders are trading down with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are coming up here at pick 120 in exchange for pick 144 and 149. So the Commanders are getting out of here after drafting Percy Butler a couple picks ago. The Panthers are coming up. They took Matt Corral last night, trading up for him as well. So this will be the second pick of the draft, I believe, for the Carolina Panthers. And they have selected third. Yes, sorry. They have selected Penn State linebacker Brandon Smith with this selection.
Ooh.
So they are trading up into the fourth round to select Penn State linebacker Brandon Smith. Browning, did you watch Brandon Smith? If not, I can take him.
I did
What pick
not.
was that?
I
Sorry,
an
real quick.
athletic freak.
What was that?
What pick was that, Dante?
120, I believe, overall. 120, Brandon Smith, Penn State linebacker. Okay. I'll talk a little bit about him. I wrote him up for us at Blue Chip Scouting as the Big Ten scout. Uber athletic linebacker. I think right now you're drafting him purely based on upside. He's a guy who is you're going to develop him, but look, he's a will linebacker. You want him running sideline to sideline. Turning and covering is going to be something that you want from him. I just think that this comes back to drafting linebackers with bad eyes. I think you have bad eyes here with Brandon Smith. He is not going to read and diagnose and come downhill as quickly as you want him to. He's inconsistent in that area. He's a little bit slow opening his hips and closing windows in zone. So you need to speed him up mentally. But this is about where I had him valued. I think this is an appropriate spot to take a shot on a really, really good athlete with a ton of upside. I don't know how much Carolina has going on there at the second level, but if they needed speed at the second level, they got it here at Brandon Smith. I think this is a solid pick for them. As Browning is clearly not a fan. As Mike is weighing in from our chat, he had him at Smith at 125, so about where he had him go as well. Yeah, I mean, I think this is good value for Smith. The Panthers, though, I don't know. Maybe they had bigger fish to fry, but we're in the fourth round. I don't know how many impact players you're really going to get. So the Panthers trading up there for Brandon Smith. That puts the New England Patriots on the clock, a team that I'm just going to say it as a biased Dolphins fan. I don't really know what they're doing in the NFL draft right now. I think, Cole Strange was their first pick. They took Tyquan Thornton with their second pick, and then they took the only player that I think they took with good value in Marcus Jones with their third pick out of Houston. And they are taking another cornerback with the 121st pick. The Patriots are selecting Arizona cornerback Jack Jones. Back-to-back cornerback selections, back-to-back slot cornerback selections for the New England Patriots. Browning, did you have a chance to watch Jack Jones or no?
I did not. He's a Sun Devil, but I did not. I know I heard things about Chase Lucas, his counterpart, but did not get to Jack Jones.
Yeah, so Jack Jones, I do know a little bit about him. He's a smaller corner. He's a good athlete. I think you're going to be plugging him into the slot. He's got a lot of potential. I think the film is good. You have to worry about some of the off-field with Jack Jones. He's got some off-field problems. I'm just not really sure what the Patriots are doing. I really don't. I think you're drafting back-to-back slot corners to pair with a guard that you overdrafted and a wide receiver that you overdrafted. I'm just not really sure what they are going to be doing here. And it looks like, and then you have another trade that just came in as things are starting to fly in. Oh, man. Let's see. The Vikings are trading pick 122 to Las Vegas for pick 126 and 227, 250, also going back to Vegas. So it looks like the Raiders are moving up 4 spots and the teams are exchanging 7th rounders for that to happen. So Vegas will be making the 122nd pick. Again, we just saw Jack Jones come off the board, a slot corner, good athlete, but he's got some off the field problems. So the Patriots investing there. So again, Minnesota not making the next pick. It'll be Las Vegas. Vegas made their first pick of the draft last night. They took Dylan Parham from Memphis, a center. That was a pick that all of us liked on the panel. And they are back on the clock here as the 4th round is really starting to get rolling now as those picks are starting to come in. Vegas, what do we like for them here? Anybody on the board you think they should be chomping at the bit to draft?
You've heard me say it before. Darian Kennard.
Do they have a spot for Darian Kennard? They just drafted Dylan Parham, another interior lineman. Where are they putting him?
He has tackle guard flexibility, but he projects best to guard. I'm not sure what their exact needs are, but
They honestly have a pretty rounded out roster. I mean, I think honestly this would be one of those situations where Dante, your thing, campaign for BPA. I think this makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I mean, they traded up here, which means they have a player in mind. So I mean, I have to think that I'd like to see them go out and get another weapon just for the hell of it. I mean, you got to compete in the arms race of the AFC right now, which is just crazy. I know they traded for Devontae Adams, but you can get a speed threat here with Calvin Austin. There's a couple other receivers I think are pretty solid that they could select. And I have the pick. Harbs is going to be very happy about this, actually. It is Georgia running back Zamir White to the selection for the Las Vegas Raiders here in a trade up with the Minnesota Vikings. Harbs, you told us earlier in the show he was your RB5. What do you have to say about Zamir White?
Yeah, I mean, I like them a lot. Opposite James Cook, those two really had the whole Sony Michel, Nick Chubb approach for the Georgia backfield. Obviously, they rode it the whole way to a national title, something they didn't do with Michel or Chubb. But I mean, I like him a lot as a physical runner. I think he can develop into a little bit more of a pass catcher. Obviously, James Cook had that role in Georgia, and he was the better pass catcher by far, not even an argument. But I definitely think that he gives a different look in the backfield versus what you had in Josh Jacobs. And I talked about it yesterday where Josh McDaniels is there now. They're going to use a stable of running backs. It's not going to be a one-man show. So I like this a lot for Las Vegas.
Browning, any thoughts on Zamir White? I know you like James Cook better, but
he was my running back 2, 4, 6, 7. I famously was campaigning against him for my love for James Cook because many big name draft analysts refuse to catch on to James Cook. But he's a physical runner, like Harb said. Lowers his shoulder, takes on contact well. Has decent hands, even though he wasn't used in that role a lot. Let's see. Navigates traffic around the box well. He's able to absorb contact as a blocker, but doesn't always pick up blitzes with an established base. He needs to work on his lower half. Decent change the direction. Pretty good ball security. Biggest knock was creativity. Doesn't create out of structure a ton. Very much prefers to follow his blocks. But, I mean, not bad here in the fourth.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot, actually. I think Zamir White is a really solid back in a rotation where you already have somebody with a little bit more juice. I think he can give you good production, somewhere between 600 to 700 yards a year and a couple touchdowns. I think that's what his NFL career is going to look like if he can stay healthy. Does have some injury history to deal with. I believe his ACLs are maybe not the best.
Well, he's a Georgia running back, so that's expected.
Yeah, that's true. It's just part of the bit for them at this point. I mean, Jesus Christ. We can pivot to the Los Angeles Chargers, who are the next team on the clock, making their third pick of this draft. They took Zion Johnson on night 1 and JT Woods, the Baylor safety, last night. Another team, I'm just going to keep saying Calvin Austin's name until he comes off the board. I'd love to see Calvin Austin paired with Justin Herbert. That would be a ton of fun. What do you guys think here for the Chargers?
Zion McCollum would be really fun with Asante Samuel.
Oh, that would be fun, but it is not the pick, and it is a name that we have been peddling for a while. It's another running back, Isaiah Spiller, coming off the board here to the Los Angeles Chargers. Finally, Spiller's fall ends after Zamir White. The Raiders obviously seems like they knew that the Chargers were going to take a running back, so not sure if they sniped their running back that they actually wanted, but Isaiah Spiller is the pick here. Harbs, I'll go to you, let you talk about Isaiah Spiller, and then we'll fill in from there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll talk about, because you two can talk about him as a player. I'll just fill in with the fantasy fit as far as role. Eckler had insane production last year for the Chargers. Austin Eckler, I think he had like 20 touchdowns. It was ungodly, and had been injured past couple seasons as well. He's been used a lot. They don't know how much more treads on the tires there, so it's kind of year by year. I like it a lot for the Chargers and Isaiah Spiller to kind of be a good complement to each other. I will say this does definitely kill all hope I had ever of Joshua Kelly, if he's even still on that team, of ever turning into anything. So, but no, I think it's a very nice change of back. Eckler is clearly the better pass catcher there. Kind of like we just talked about with Las Vegas, where you have like a 1-2 punch. I think this is a nice 1-2 punch and a change of pace for what they had in the backfield with Eckler.
Browning, anything to add on Spiller?
Yeah, he was my running back 1 by barely, but he was. Good vision, sharp, decisive in his cuts. Can anticipate holes before they open up. Doesn't tip where he's going either. Doesn't turn his head away to the new hole. Good contact balance. He's a capable route runner, but A&M used Anaya Smith more in this role. The biggest glaring weakness, again, is pass blocking. But good cuts, good change of direction ability. I really like Spiller.
All right, and just real quick to interject, we know what the next pick is. The Browns have selected the first kicker off the board. It is LSU place kicker Cade York with the selection here in the 4th round at pick 124. The Browns are taking the first kicker, LSU's Cade York. We go to our resident Browns fan, Andrew Harbaugh. I know you don't know much about Cade York, I'm assuming, but the thought of drafting it. Yeah, no. The thought of drafting a kicker in the 4th round.
I mean, it's a kicker.
He's a good kicker.
I know he's a good kicker. I know that much. Obviously, couldn't tell you anything that makes him great. Yeah, I mean, they've had kicking issues ever since they drafted Baker's roommate, and was it Austin Seibert, I think his name was. They went off at free agency and signed the Colts former punter, what's his name? Or not the Colts, Green Bay's Bjorquez. So, I mean, they had Chase McLaughlin, I think. Yeah, Chase McLaughlin was there. I need the kicking has been bad. So, I mean, I'll take anything at this point, but just 4th round's a bit
just
too
reading
rich
off
for
some
my blood.
I agree. Just reading off some quick Cade York stuff. 84.6% on field goals over the last 2 years. Hit a 50-plus yard field goals at almost 79%. He is perfect on extra points. He nailed a 57-game winner in 2020 to beat Florida. Well-schooled and known as a self-fixer per NFL Network, whatever the hell that means. He also put up 12 reps on the bench press for a kicker. How about that?
Had a long of 57 in 2020 and a long of 56 in 2021.
Okay, I'm suddenly okay with it being a 4th round pick.
Yeah, so it seems like he's probably the highest ranked place kicker, at least off the top of my head. I know that there's some punters this year that some people are pretty high on, but it seems like Cade York, based on all the reports, was the highest. Yeah, that he was kicker 1. So Browns going with kicker 1 in the 4th round. We finally got our first special team selection. It was not the punter from Arizona State, who I tried to warn people would not be the first one off the board. San Diego State's, yes, sorry. So Cleveland with the first special teams player off the board. That puts my Miami Dolphins on the clock here at this pick, unless they trade it, which I'm kind of expecting that they might. But we'll see what happens. The Dolphins are on the clock. They took Channing Tindall from Georgia last night at pick 102, the linebacker/edge. Dolphins have a lot of options here. I was kind of hoping Isaiah Spiller might fall to them at 125, but I guess not.
I hope they take Sam Howell just for the pure chaos. And the
I would have to leave I'd have to leave the stream immediately if they took Sam Howell. I'd have to write something or go do something about that. I mean, oh man, that would be an utter disaster if they took Sam Howell, but I don't think they're going to do that. I'm like 99.9% sure that it will not be Sam Howell. I'm trying to see if anyone on Dolphins Twitter has tipped that pick, because sometimes they're pretty quick, but I do not see it. So we'll have to wait on the Dolphins pick here at 125. I think a couple of the running backs I was happy with have come off the board. I said this pre-show. I don't think I said it when we started. I'd love to see them take Calvin Austin here at 125. Look, you already have a track team. Just make it more of a track team. Speed. Who cares? I mean, I would love to see it. I tweeted that. Really interested to see where they go here. No offensive linemen that I'd want them to take. That's another spot that they could use some help. Browning, any thoughts on what the Dolphins should do here outside of me rambling?
What's their guard situation opposite of Hunt?
They signed Connor Williams, your man, this offseason.
Take Kennard.
I like Connor Williams. I don't think he's that bad. He just has some penalty
You'll
problems.
like him until he averages 3 holding calls a game.
Look, buddy, I had Austin Jackson already holding 3 holding calls a game. I'm used to it, man. That's light work. We can win. We got back-to-back winning seasons with 3 holding calls a game. As long as they don't start on the same line, which right now they probably would. So I wouldn't mind them taking a tackle here, whoever the top one on their board. Oh, this is fun. Texas Tech wide receiver Eric Uzukama?
Yeah.
Uzukama, sorry, with the 125th pick. The Dolphins are selecting the Texas Tech wide receiver. I got eyes on him late. I did not finish a full evaluation of him. Harbs, I'm assuming you did if you want to break him down here.
I'll tell you what, I did not get to him. I got to 105 skill players, and I did not get to him.
All right, well, let's hear it.
Give me 1 second. Let me pull up his report. He was my second to last receiver. He had a 4th round grade. Let's see here. I mean, in a Texas Tech offense, they're not going to be great route runners, so he could stand to get better in that area. Showed some tenacity when run blocking. Has a great frame, able to contest box out defenders at the catch point when a contested throw. Able to get on top of defenders on 9 routes, but doesn't gain a ton of separation other than that. Reliable hands. Has a couple releases in his toolbox. Doesn't have the best yards after catch ability, but great ball tracker. He didn't run at the combine, but he was used in motion a lot on screens, orbit motions, jet sweeps, lots of those.
All right, well, there you go. The Dolphins making the 125th pick. I think that he's a downfield contested catch guy, but we have a trade. Yeah, go ahead, Browning. I'll let you announce it.
Well, it says Minnesota traded with Las Vegas again.
Yeah, they are picking here after the Dolphins. So Minnesota back on the clock here. This is just their trade down spot, isn't it?
I don't know. Did they trade again?
I don't think so. I think this is just the trade down. I think Vegas was supposed to be here, right?
Or did Minnesota traded with Vegas again?
Oh, okay. Well, Minnesota back on the clock. They traded up now 2 in a row. Maybe this is the quarterback? Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Brown's Twitter is not happy with Cade York. They're saying it's disrespectful to Chase McLaughlin.
Who cares?
So I don't know. That's where
the guy announcing the Dolphins pick is like in a fog storm in Brazil. The NFL draft is really, really funny, man.
I remember, and just because I listen to Pat McAfee show all the time, he still is upset that the Colts, the 1 year invited Reggie Wayne to announce a pick, Robert Mathis to announce a pick, and they invited the orangutan from the Indianapolis Zoo to announce a pick.
But
and then he was invited the next year, and he said, "Well, I couldn't be better than the orangutan."
That's phenomenal.
Could this be Sam Howell?
I hope so.
Who's on the clock again? I'll be honest. I've been writing
Las Vegas stuff from Minnesota, from Las Vegas.
I mean, who's their backup in Vegas? They lost Mariota now, so I mean they could take one. I mean, Derek Carr, I don't think he's going to be in any position to lose his job anytime soon. But
yeah, the pick is Neil Farrell, the LSU defensive tackle, coming off the board here for the Raiders. Neil Farrell, after the Dolphins took a wide receiver out of Texas Tech, we have Neil Farrell here, the selection. I watched him a little bit. Browning, did you watch Farrell?
I did. Let me get to his report.
Yeah, I didn't really love him. I had like a later day 3 grade on him, but again, I think we're splitting hairs for the most part. I don't know. I thought he was kind of like a one tech primary run defender, doesn't really give you a ton of juice. I don't know if you feel differently.
Yeah, I had a 4 on him. He looked decently explosive off the snap, which matched up with the combine, ran a 1.88 10 yards. It did not add up with this combine testing. He ran a 1.88 10-yard split, which was good for first percentile. He's able to gain leverage quickly and effectively. He is a one tech. I agree with that. He has moments of flashing power, but it's not consistent. I mean, he's a good swing at a one tech and day 3. I don't hate it.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, I think it's fine. Again, I don't want to split hairs on guys that I had graded in the 5th going in the 4th. And we can move on. The Patriots have finally made a pick that I really, really like. They are taking South Dakota State running back Pierre Strong Jr. with the next selection. Pierre Strong Jr. Harbs, I know you're chomping at the bit to talk about him. Why don't you give me the breakdown?
Yeah, I mean, his RAS score was absolutely insane. Tested very, very well at the combine. His film, it's always tough when you watch FCS players because the good ones really do look insane there. Obviously, Christian Watson. That's the other thing, too. This is the second North Dakota State skill player to be drafted in their
South Dakota State.
South Dakota State. My bad. I'm thinking Missouri Valley State, excuse me, or Missouri Valley Conference, second skill player for them. So yeah, no, definitely has a chance to be productive. I think in New England, they still, even though they lost Josh McDaniels, that we know Bill Belichick wants to use that whole rotation of backs there. So I definitely like that a lot for him. And I'd say he's definitely the fastest in that backfield too now. So couple of Mac Jones dump offs, the specialty where you don't have to display that great arm strength. And if they ever go to Buffalo and they have to only run the ball or pass the ball 6 times, now you got another running back to do that where you can pick up the load.
Yeah, well, there you go. Brownie, did you watch Pierre Strong or no?
I did not. He had a good day at the Shrine, or good week at Shrine Bowl, but I did not do a final report on him.
Yeah, he was my RB. Sorry,
no, go.
He was my RB8. So I mean, I liked him a good bit.
Yeah, I like Pierre Strong too. I was kind of hoping the Dolphins would take him there at 125. That was one of the names that I wrote about for SI Dolphins plug. I really like his speed, honestly. I mean, I think on day 3, I kind of said like, I got a lot of pushback from fantasy Twitter because they don't realize I don't scout for fantasy, but I said I think he'd be like Elijah Mitchell was for the 49ers this year. And I got a lot of pushback from them on that, but I really like Pierre Strong. I think he's that type of player where he's just plant his foot in the ground, go one direction very quickly and eat up yards. I like the fit in New England. I think he's going to get some opportunities to make plays there. So that'll bring Nick's Baltimore Ravens back on the clock here. They made a pick finally that we all didn't love with their last selection, but they're back on the board. There's still plenty of players. Browning's Darian Kennard still on the board. Calvin Austin still on the board.
Calvin Austin, I was talking about, or I was going to say, they lost Hollywood in a trade.
Yeah.
Austin would be add that explosive threat that's missing from the offense.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good replacement there, I think.
I totally agree. Sorry, I'm tweeting about the Dolphins drafting a player that I only watched 2 games of because, of course, they did. Baltimore has had a tremendous, tremendous draft. I mean, I think that, honestly, they could draft, a squirrel with this pick, and I honestly wouldn't care. I really would. I mean, they hit on – I think they're going to at least get – solid production out of their top picks. I mean, they could draft whoever the hell they want here. I believe the pick is in, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's Iowa State tight end Charlie Kolar, correct? I'm like looking at 4 different screens at once, so I don't want to miss that. But I do believe that it is Iowa State tight end Charlie Kolar going to the Ravens, a very Baltimore Ravens-esque pick. Harbs, I'm assuming you watched him if you want to talk about Kolar a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, who's not on the stream, absolutely hated him, and see exactly, as I just alluded to. I think he's saying that both as the pick and both in discuss. So, no, I liked him a lot. He was my tight end 6, I want to say. Yeah, so I mean, I liked him a lot. He had a 3rd round grade from me. Honestly, I liked how He's very round as a blocker, and he also has very good hands, I think, as a receiving tight end as well. See, Nick here is also backing me up here. He got a 4th on him. Obviously, he had Brock Purdy as his quarterback, so the passing game's not the most efficient of sorts at Iowa State. But I liked Collier a lot. Made a lot of clutch catches, very good red zone target there too. Obviously, they have Mark Andrews as well, who's going to be the king of that tight end room. But as we've seen in the past, as John Harbaugh's been there, they like to have a little bit of a rotation of guys. They haven't had a really good 1-2 punch in a while, as I hit my table. So, no, I like Collier a lot there with Mark Andrews. I think those two complement each other. Not going to get crazy production out of them, but Collier is going to be a guy that maybe gets 2, 3, 4, 5 touchdowns in that range. As, like I said, he'll be a red zone guy.
Yeah, and we do have the next pick. I believe it is Browning's Dallas Cowboys, who are taking a tight end right afterwards. Jake Ferguson, the tight end out of Wisconsin, is the selection for the Dallas Cowboys. Browning, I'll let you take that one if you watch Ferguson. If not, I can talk about him.
I did watch him. Give me 1 second to pull up his report. He was a 4th-round player for me, so the value adds up. Very good around the goal line. Reliable hands, but you won't see athletic one-handed catches. Tracks the ball well. Comes from a run-heavy scheme in Wisconsin, so he's asked to block a lot. Good at establishing leverage and drives his feet. Isn't a mauler, but he's capable of washing out defenders of play. Hand placement can be sporadic when blocking. Pretty good in contested catch scenarios, even though you won't see the one-handed grabs. Versatile, uses the tight end, split out receiver as an H-back. He's a vertical threat, doesn't offer much yards after catch ability, physical at the point of attack, and he lacks any sort of explosion or a second gear, but not a bad pick. I don't hate it.
I like Jake Ferguson a good bit. I was pretty high on him compared to consensus. I want to find him real quick on my board. I thought he had significantly more juice than I was expecting. Yeah, he was my 76th overall player with a 3rd round grade. So I really like this pick for the Cowboys. I like it a little bit better than the Kolar pick, but I think both picks make a ton of sense for each of those teams. I think, again, this is another instance where I questioned whether or not Dallas got sniped of their player, and they just went with the next tight end on the board and Jake Ferguson. But I guess we'll find out when all that stuff comes out in the wash. Harbs, anything you want to add on the Wisconsin tight end if you watched him?
Yeah, he was my tight end 7, so my tight ends 6 and 7 go back to back here. No, everything you guys echoed, I was very surprised. Usually Wisconsin doesn't have the most well-rounded receiving threats as receivers or tight ends, and I thought he was pretty well-rounded. I think he contributed from day one because Browning, they have Schultz there, obviously, so does he kind of take that Blake Jarwin role?
We have a punter.
We have our punter.
Punt God.
And it is not punt God. It is
Jordan Stout.
Jordan Stout, the Penn State punter, is going to the Baltimore Ravens with
means I'm behind on work is why I didn't want Jordan Stout.
With their 1,200th pick of the 4th round, the Ravens are selecting punter Jordan Stout. The punt god is not the first punter off the board, something I tried to tell people for months and nobody would listen to me. Jordan Stout is the selection here.
It would be 130.
Yes. Yeah.
I
It's the 25th pick of the 4th round, so yes. Jordan Stout, the selection out of Penn State. Anyone want to talk about a Penn State punter?
He was also their kicker too. He was 17 for 23. I just did a thing on him. Is the only reason I know this. 17 for 23 kicking. Let me pull up my whole spiel here. But I didn't watch him obviously, but I wrote up.
I can fill in some gaps. 6'3", 209. He ran a 4.65 40-yard dash, which is honestly pretty freaking good for a punter. He converted 60 of his 71 kickoffs into touchbacks. Transferred to Penn State from Virginia Tech. So he was a Ray Guy Award winner, finalist. Handled punts and kicks, like you said. So I don't know. Seems like a okay special teams weapon. He seems like a decent athlete for the position for sure.
Yeah. 16 of 23. served as place kicker. He had an average punt yardage of 46 yards. If he would have been in the NFL with that, he would have been in the top half of the league for punters. So definitely going to be somebody I think that if Baltimore's needing a punter, I don't know their depth chart for that spot necessarily, but good overall player, honestly, for a special teams guy.
Yeah, so we see two specialists come off the board here in the 4th round, Jordan Stout and Cade York, going to two teams of some of our favorite guys' teams. That's pretty interesting. We will pivot to the Tennessee Titans, who are up next. I do not have that pick yet. So last night they took Malik Willis. Harbs, you were kind of going back and forth on that pick last night in real time. And I know you're a little bit busy, but I want to give you a chance to – how do you feel about that pick now? You slept on it. Do you feel better on it? Do you feel worse on it? I know Willis was your guy.
Yeah, no, I saw the Madden hype video that they put out for him, and I was listening to a little bit of what NFL Network was talking about this morning with it, where I think after the move of trading A.J. Brown away on day one, I think the Vrabel discussed is kind of with the whole team where I can't remember who put it this way, but they've kind of reached their glass ceiling, and they've got to find a way to break out of that and kind of go to like a different level, whether it's good or bad. They've kind of, I think, gone where they can go with Tannehill, and I think they know that. I think they know they've got a couple more years of Derrick Henry left. So I think this is kind of one of those things where they have Willis now in their back pocket, and if that offense needs a spark, now they have it potentially. So I don't hate it, but again, I feel so bad that he left that far. Were you raising your hand, or were you just itching your armpit with your phone, Browning?
No, I was checking my blood sugar.
Oh, okay. I'm just a piece of shit. Don't mind me.
That's a reason he's diabetic, Tyler. Oh, man. All right. Well, hopefully everyone is feeling okay. We have a couple people sick in the BCS chat, and the pick is in. Yep, the Tennessee Titans are going with Hassan Haskins, Michigan running back Hassan Haskins, the selection.
Ooh.
I really like this. Harb, seems like you really like this as well, if you want to start it off with talking about Hassan Haskins.
Yeah, I mean, he was a fun – I mean, he had a 4th round grade from me. He's my RB15. I thought he was a sneaky part of this Michigan offense where the quarterback play obviously got better for them as a whole. But I think Haskins really was a game changer for him. I definitely like his speed. I like his pass catching ability. I think he could be a complete back if given the chance. Obviously, at Tennessee, he's really going to be the change of pace for Derrick Henry because he's the complete opposite of Derrick Henry. So I think kind of what they wanted. Who was the running back they drafted a couple years ago in day 3? Darrington Evans. What they kind of wanted him to be a complement to Derrick Henry with. I think this is much better a fit for that whole offense. So, no, I like Haskins a lot here at Tennessee.
Yeah, I do too. Haskins was my RB5 in this class, I want to say. Ooh. I was like unusually high on him. So he almost made the all Hollywood team. Top 60 player on my board. I had a 3rd round grade on him. Really like his power, really like his vision, his ability to sidestep blocks in the hole and make the most out of bad blocking. That's one of the things that I love about running backs. Even though I hate all running backs, I do love that about them. And I thought Hassan Haskins was really good about that. He's also a contact balance guy. That's another one of my highly graded traits for running backs. So I like this pick a lot for Tennessee. And we have the next pick coming in. The Packers are doubling down at wide receiver. They are taking Romeo Dubois, the wide receiver from Nevada, with their next selection, the 27th pick in the 4th round. The Green Bay Packers taking Romeo Dubois. Harbs or Browning, either one of you guys want to talk a little bit about the Nevada wide receiver?
I did not watch him.
All right. Well, Harbs wants to talk a little bit about the Nevada wide receiver.
Yeah, let me pull up here. Like I said, this is not the time for skill players to be going. Yeah, God. So I actually had a UDFA on Romeo here.
Wow. Okay. All right.
He was my wide receiver 30. I just thought when watching Carson Strong, he was kind of their downfield threat, but he also doesn't have the speed to be an NFL downfield threat. So I thought he'd be coming into the league with a one weapon in his arsenal. And I think the NFL is going to be able to stop that. So I'm really not a big fan of this for Green Bay. But again, It's Aaron Rodgers. It's a wide receiver.
Aaron's going to get on his ass. He can't keep dropping the ball.
Exactly.
I was about to say, I don't particularly. I am a little bit higher on Dubois than you. I think I had a 5 on him, but again, when I'm grading players with a 5th, that means I'm pretty much not a huge fan of them. Drops are a problem. Route running's a problem. I think you have a straight line speed player where it's just chuck it and hope he makes a play. I think I think the Dolphins just drafted the same player at 125 and someone who I think is a little bit better. So not really sure if that was a panic pick for Green Bay or what the deal is there.
If it's any more concerning, he had the same grade as Slade Bolden for me. So him and Slade Bolden could have been interchangeable at wide receiver 29 or 30.
We have another
punter.
Another punter. Go ahead, Browning. I'll let you announce it. You've earned it.
Jake Camarda, punter from Georgia.
Another punter. So punt god is not even punt 3. Nick Price is here to join the show. He is going in and out of a
punt false god.
Yeah. I feel less like crap now. So.
All right. Well, you have anything to say about punter 2?
I mean, Jeff Zrebiec tweeted like that Cook is in the final year of his contract, that he's 40, and Baltimore could save money by cutting him this offseason. So it makes sense. If that is indeed the case, I'm fine with Jordan Stout. Granted, I don't scout punters because I mean, how can you put a tape grade on a punter? I mean, he just kicked football around.
Mel Kiper does.
Mel Kiper does.
Well, Mel Kiper's a sociopath then, but he's also from Baltimore, so that makes sense.
Here's your cool Jake Camarda fact, the punter who just went off the board. He ran a 4.56 40-yard dash at the combine.
What a king.
So he can kick it and
he can cover his own kicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's known as a very accurate punter. It seems like he doesn't have the biggest leg in the world, not the best hang time, according to NFL Network. Struggles with distance and flipping the field, but he's very accurate. He's a really good pin punter. Jesus. And he has good touchback averages when he's kicking the ball off. So that's about all of the analysis that I'm going to be able to give on a punter. I believe that was Tampa Bay's selection. So Tampa Bay, their second pick made today. We are moving on to the San Francisco 49ers, who rounded out last night's draft by selecting SMU wide receiver Danny Gray. They are back on the clock. I believe they took Ty Davis-Price with their other pick last night, if I remember correctly. So a little bit of a weird 49ers draft, at least in my opinion. And I know who the pick is, and I'm glad Nick Price is back with us. It is Spencer Buford, the tackle/guard from UTSA. Nick, any thoughts on Buford?
So famously, he was a 4-star recruit to UTSA, the highest recruit they ever had.
I was going to say a 4-star to UTSA.
I know, right? He's a highly athletic guy, kind of lightweight tackle. Still, he manages to generate a good enough power. I've heard teams like him at guard, but with like Trent Williams getting older, that's the same friend. So with Trent Williams getting up there in age, maybe they draft him and stash him for the future, or else they need a guy who can play guard, right away. I like it. It's about where I thought he'd go. I've heard some people say that he might have gone last night, but that was a bit too rich for my taste. So. Good pick.
Yeah, I like the pick too. I think this might be my favorite 49ers pick so far. I didn't really like Ty Davis-Price. I didn't watch Danny Gray because I didn't think he was good enough to watch.
Wow.
And I'm just being honest, man. I watched 200 players. I didn't see it with him. But 49ers going Spencer Buford. I really like the potential of this pick. I think he's got some solid upside to work with. That will put the Kansas City Chiefs back on the clock. Another team that I think has had a really solid draft. They added Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis in the first round. They added Sky Moore yesterday. They are back on the clock here. I don't know. I mean, where do we think they could go?
If they go Calvin Austin, I'm going straight back to bed, man.
Because they got Sky Moore.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you're trying to replace Tyreek Hill, I feel like Calvin Austin, Sky Moore, it's not too bad. That covers a lot of your Tyreek Hill bases, at least in my opinion, it does. Really shocked to see Romeo Dubois go before Calvin Austin. I'm like really, really surprised about that.
you're going to bring this full circle then. So they just flashed the Green Bay receiver room. What do you think of Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, Watson, and Dubois for Aaron Rodgers?
Sounds like a lot of meh.
That's what I was thinking.
What is it Mike says? A 10 pounds of man, a 5-pound bag or whatever?
Yeah, something like that. It sounds like something Mike would say. Yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, what? Who's the best receiver in that room right now? Not like career, like right now. Is it still Sammy?
I'd say Sammy.
I'd say it's Lazard. I like Lazard personally. I mean, I still think he's meh. But here's what you got to keep in mind, too. And again, this is from when he was doing his appearances on McAfee's show. He said the receiver he spent the most time with last year was Allen Lazard because they both weren't vaccinated. And I'm not trying to bring that up as a talking point. I'm just saying it's one of those things where they spent a lot of time together. And you saw Lazard's role kind of expand in that offense. So I think that's who Rodgers is going to kind of make as a guy this year. And then see how it goes from there. I think Watkins is just going to kind of be a fill-in flash in the pan. Have his Kansas City run where he gets 3 touchdowns the first week, and then we don't hear from him again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really weird wide receiver room. I didn't even realize some of those guys were still there. I forgot that they even signed
That's what I
Sammy
thought. I
Watkins,
saw that,
man.
and I was like,
jeez. I like the Christian Watson pick, but I mean, you're betting on a guy who needs some development and is a small school prospect to be, I mean, it looks like a legitimate contributor in that room. I don't know how to tell Aaron Rodgers this, but Randall Cobb is not good anymore. I really don't understand why he is so hell-bent on making Randall Cobb a thing. He's a little bit past his time. But again, we are waiting on the Chiefs pick, and we just got it. And it's another pick that I like a good bit. It is Fayetteville State's Joshua Williams off the board. The cornerback from Fayetteville State finally going here. Had a pretty good Senior Bowl HBCU pick. I believe that's our first HBCU pick of the draft, if I'm not mistaken. And it's the first one in 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, because nobody went last year. So the Chiefs are taking Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State here. Anyone want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, I will. He was my cornerback 15, so my last cornerback I watched. He had a 4th-round grade. He has good ability in press, bail, and man. Can be fooled by stop and goes, but he's able to disrupt the timing of the routes with his length. Could do a better job of squeezing receivers against the sideline. Proficient in zone, has vines for arms. His long speed is his biggest question mark for me. Ran a 4.53 at the combine, put him in the 46th percentile. Locates the ball well in flight. Uses frame well when deconstructing blocks against a run. Good transition ability. He's a good tackler with his frame. Very physical player. I like him.
Yeah, I liked Williams a little bit too. Really stood out at the Senior Bowl. Just a really, really physical player. Interesting note for him. He is, and we just got the next pick, so I'll pivot really quickly. But interesting note for him. He is the first Fayetteville State player to get drafted since 1976.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. The next pick is in. The Bengals are going back to the offensive line. Well, they are taking North Dakota State offensive tackle Cordell Volson.
That's such a fit. That makes so much sense for them.
I did not watch Volson, so we're going to need somebody else to fill in the gap here. I believe that's maybe a Devin Jackson brand player, but he's not here.
I didn't watch him, but from what I've seen, he projects best to guard in the NFL. Did decently well in the Shrine Bowl, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Was moving some people in the run game. I don't hate this pick on day 3.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well take a shot, right? I mean, if he's that athletic, and we've seen some North Dakota State offensive linemen turn out in recent years. I think Dylan Raduns was pretty solid last year. Ran a 5.27 40-yard dash, only jumped 25 inches in the vert, had a 104 broad jump and 8.31 3-cone. So didn't exactly test that well, but he is 6'6", 315 with 33-inch arms. So he is a big guy. He is listed at a guard at most of the spots that I'm looking at right now. So the Bengals investing in Cordell Volson, who was the opposite of Dylan Raduns for a couple of years, who went last year a little bit higher. with their pick. And that'll put the New England Patriots on the clock with what would be typically the last pick of the 4th round. But there are, looks like 6 comp picks following that. So we are approaching the end of the 4th round, which has taken almost 2 hours, unfortunately for us. But hopefully that they will start rolling in a little bit quickly. I got to go watch Texas Tech film at some point. New England on the clock here. They took Pierre Strong Jr., I believe, with their last pick, if I'm not mistaken. They've had a really weird draft, though.
I could see them doing Carson Strong. I mean, he kind of fits their mold for quarterback.
That would be chaos if they took Carson Strong.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything to compete with Mac Jones, obviously, but as far as having, I mean, Belichick likes to have kind of 2-3 guys in that room. And you've got Hoyer there still, I think. So why not go with a little bit more youthful infusion on top of the Mac Jones pick from the year before?
It would certainly be interesting. And again, we are approaching the end of the 4th round, and we have yet to see a quarterback get selected here in the 4th round. Sam Howell, Carson Strong still on the board. And I honestly just have no idea where they go. I don't know how many good spots are left for them. It doesn't seem like Minnesota is at all interested. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. I forget what we put the over-under at quarterback selected from yesterday at the end of the night, but I took the under. I'm feeling okay about it at the moment, but we'll see if that tune changes quickly.
Could the Rams go Sam Howell or Carson Strong? Stafford's up there in age. They don't have a ton of draft capital. One is sitting here that's a developmental guy. I wouldn't hate it.
I wouldn't hate it either, especially after you just won the Super Bowl and you kind of have the good grace of the fans on your side. I would not hate that pick at all. And that'd be a really good like developmental spot, right? I mean, you got to feel good about sending a player to someone like Sean McVay. Even as a developmental player. Again, we are waiting on the Patriots to make the next selection. We are barely ahead of the live stream right now, so these picks are really not funneling in as quickly as I want them to. Waiting on the Patriots, who have made some really, really weird selections. Tyquan Thornton, Cole Strange were their first couple of picks at the top of the draft. I don't know, man. This might be the year where they finally end up in the cellar of the NFC East. I really just do not. I know that we're betting on Bill Belichick, and I'm a incredibly biased voice for this discussion, but yeah, it is QB, and it is someone I'm going to have to eat my words on. It is Bailey Zappi, the selection for Western Kentucky. Bailey Zappi is the selection here for the New England Patriots.
Well, I'll be damned.
Before Carson Strong, before Sam Howell. Bailey Zappi, the selection here.
I told you, youthful infusion.
Anyone else want to talk about Bailey Zappi? Because all I have are bad things to say. So,
I would be delighted to talk about Bailey Zappi since he is in my conference. I did scout him.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had to scout him. So I think he got a 5th, I believe, from me. So it's a little bit early. But I mean, as far as like obviously New England's drafting him to be a backup. As far as potential backup quarterbacks, I mean, you could do far worse than him. I think he was accurate on some really nice throws, especially underneath. Had a couple of really passes along the sideline outside the numbers, but not the greatest arm. He's not going to wow you with athleticism. But I think if you're looking for a backup, which they clearly are, who's kind of similar to Mac Jones, I think Bailey Zappi is the guy. I wish New England had gone in a different direction other than quarterback, because I think this is a little bit. I think it's a bit of a luxury, I think, when you still have needs on your team and you're just kind of goofing off with the draft. So, but never get. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I like it because again, he's not going to play or be expected to play anytime soon. We've seen them be able to kind of coach up and make long-term quarterbacks out of anybody that comes in that room. Hoyer's a great.
Real quick, just to cut you off, we can come back to it, but it is a player that we all have wanted to talk about a lot. The Steelers have selected Memphis wide receiver Calvin Austin with their pick here.
You
compensation pick in the 4th round.
Right
Calvin
before Baltimore.
Austin is
Right before
finally off the board. Any thoughts on this? I mean, this is a lot of fun, man. I like this a lot. Obviously, Calvin Austin, my highest graded player remaining in the draft.
He had a low 2 from me, so this is phenomenal value.
Yeah, he had like I said, the highest third on my board. So he was my wide receiver 11. So yeah, I mean,
for as much as I love Calvin Austin, I actually probably am the lowest on him actually here grade wise. He's like 1 point off from a third. So in terms of value, it's still pretty good. But I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, speed. I mean, he's a track star. He's literally a track star. I mean, like, I can't. I think he. God, who's he? He played against he ran against in high school that he just totally does. I think it was like Tyler Beatty. He still hasn't gone yet.
He's going to be used a lot, I think, in special teams too, because that's Pittsburgh's thing is put the fastest guy you can back there. That's what they did with Mike Wallace before he became a more prominent receiving threat. Dre Archer was there for a while, so I think Calvin Austin's going to really find a home in special teams, being a return guy for them, which, I mean, that's what I would do too.
Real quick, back to Bailey Zappi. He's fairly similar to Mac Jones. So
their grades were very similar on my board.
Yeah, I mean, same.
Gee, I wonder why.
Is it possible if Mac Jones starts to slip, he could push for a starting spot?
I don't know. I think Mac Jones was better than I expected him to be last year. Honestly, I know that he really had a rough end of the season, but there were more impressive throws on his film than I was expecting. So I don't know. I just didn't see it with Bailey Zappi at all. I know we kind of skipped over that. I just didn't see it. I didn't see an NFL arm. I didn't see an NFL athlete. I didn't see NFL film, frankly. I did not see it with Bailey Zappi. He projects as a long-term backup. It's not that big of a deal. I just feel personally attacked by this Patriots draft class. They have come after me with almost every pick that they've made, and I'm tired of it.
Well, as a Dolphins fan, you should be used to being attacked by the Patriots. So
you're right. You know what? And I am. I am. I am used to it, and I am tired of it.
My goodness.
I guess we can continue talking about Calvin Austin if we want, or Harbs. Anything else to add?
I tried one of my meatballs I made that's been sitting in my Dutch oven, and let me tell you, this fifth round needs to get over because I'm just gonna dive into it.
Yeah, I mean, they usually come in quicker than this on day 3. I don't know why that they have stunted here. We usually get to be like 4 or 5 picks ahead of whatever the hell is happening in the draft, but we are really only 1 or 2 picks ahead right now. Bailey Zappi over Sam Howell and Carson Strong. I am in shambles. I am so glad that I am not coming back.
Shut up. Just shut up, man.
Oh, jeez.
You're gonna watch this 2023 class and you're gonna like it. God damn it!
I am not watching them this summer. I am not going to do this summer. There's only 3 people watching, so I'll say that. Speaking of our viewers, thank you for hanging out with us here on day 3. I hope you're enjoying us just rambling, me going through it with the Bailey Zappi pick. Nick had a health crisis and he's back. So thanks for sticking with us for this long. We're going to get you through round 5 and then we are going to call it a draft. We'll probably do some type of draft recap show on the YouTube channel in the coming days. So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you're watching this on YouTube, we really appreciate all of the support.
I like this.
Fire. Let's hear. Oh, I like it too.
Isaiah Likely
to the Ravens with the next pick.
2 tight ends.
The Ravens.
Can I just say it? F it. Fuck it. Just get 2 tight ends.
Man,
it is literally the most Ravens thing ever.
They love their tight ends. They are doubling down here, hoping that either Charlie Kolar or Isaiah Likely is going to hit, or maybe both. I don't know. Did they already pay Mark Andrews? Did that contract already happen? Yeah, they did, right? So, yeah, I mean, they're really they're going for it. The Ravens are. I mean, I respect how much they stick to their identity. I really do. I mean, they just take tough physical ball players at every round of the draft, no matter the position. Does anyone want to talk a little bit more specifically about Coastal Carolina tight end Isaiah Likely?
I didn't watch him, but I'm pretty sure he absolutely torched Arkansas State.
He did. He put up some disgusting numbers against them. Really good, he has really good hands. He didn't test as well as I thought he would, but he still has pretty good play speed. And I would actually want to talk less about like Likely because I mean I think he's pretty good. He had a low third for me. But I wrote about this like a little while ago that part of like one of the pieces to like Baltimore's like 2019 offensive success, which is what every Ravens fans wants to get back to, is the fact that they could roll out 3 really good tight ends and just kind of create mismatch matchup nightmares all over the field. I mean, losing Hayden Hurst kind of like handicapped them in a way because like Hurst was more of that move tight end. He kind of threw him out in space, and I think Likely could do that. And then of course Kohler is just a big guy, and I think with Nick Boyle's like injury history. I think probably finding a replacement for him is key.
It turns out I did watch him. He was my second to last tight end with the 5th round grade. So I mean, here in day 3, I don't hate it.
Yeah, it seems like it's about the right spot on all of our boards. I like Likely a solid bit too. I wish he had tested a little bit better. I was expecting him to have a little bit more juice based on his film. We can pivot to the Green Bay Packers, who are on the clock. They're making their second pick, and I just got the text that the pick is in, and it is Wake Forest offensive lineman Zach Tom going to the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I like that.
Take it away, Nick. Tell me about Zach Tom.
This is actually a Devin Jackson brand guy that he sold me on when we were doing the Ravens mock draft a few weeks ago. Former tackle, played center. I think he's probably going to play center, but it's kind of the same idea with Ogden Jenkins, where you can kind of put him all over the place. They took Sean Ryan earlier. I'm assuming Sean might be playing guard for them. I don't know where Tom's going to end up fitting because I'm assuming they like Elton Jenkins at center, but they also have a guard, but they also have like Josh Myers. So maybe you develop him to replace David Bakhtiari, which would be fun, be very fun because I think he could play. He could probably almost start right away at center, but as I said, you have Josh Myers, so maybe just groom him and play him and get him coached up at tackle. But like really good mover. He tested like extremely well. Like I think he has almost a perfect like grade or RAS score, which is incredible. So good pick.
All right, so we're a fan of Zach Tom. Yeah, I really liked him. I thought he could be a potential guy for Miami at 125. I like the versatility. I like the pedigree. Really good fit in his own scheme. So Green Bay, this draft kind of interesting. They went with Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt in the first round. They trade up for Christian Watson. Sean Ryan was another pick that they made last night as well. And they went with Romeo Dubois today and Zach Tom. So really, really interesting draft. I feel like the Packers are almost every othering these picks for me. Every other pick I seem to like. We will pivot, though, because the LA Rams are on the clock for just the second time in the 2022 NFL draft.
Is it Baltimore again?
It is Baltimore again.
Oh, it is Baltimore. Sorry, I skipped one. Baltimore is on the pick again. Jesus, God, are they really going to make all these picks?
Yes, because they're sickos.
They really are. They really are sickos.
So can this please be like either Kyle Phillips? I'll take Justin Ross, maybe.
I don't know if Justin Ross is going to get drafted.
That sucks.
I hope he does because I think he's a good kid and he's really just got a ton of bad breaks on injuries, but I don't know if he's going to get drafted.
Just please, Kyle Phillips. I need a receiver.
Can I interest you in Austin's boy, Khalil Shakir?
Yes, I will take Khalil Shakir and run for the hills because Baltimore doesn't pick.
I forgot about Khalil Shakir. I'm going to be honest. I forgot that he existed for a while there.
I'm back. Sorry.
All right. Well, Baltimore is on the clock.
Sorry, I missed Isaiah Likely.
You did. You want to talk about Isaiah Likely?
I'm going to grab beer.
Well, Harbs is frozen. And Browning is hopping out. So we'll let them figure each other out. I'm hanging out here with Nick Price, Baltimore on the clock. See if we can get this sorted out.
Can we just manifest Kyle Phillips, please?
we can manifest Kyle Phillips. I like Kyle Phillips. I thought he was really good at the Shrine, obviously. And then I think that he had a really, really good couple of games there and that I was able to catch against Hawaii and USC. I thought he had some solid film as a slot guy. As Harbs and
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Talk about it, Nick.
Kyle Phillips. This is even better. Okay.
Talk about it.
They get Demarion Williams, Houston cornerback / safety. I think I made a reference to this. Actually, I take this back. My Ravens mock draft that I did earlier this week. I gave them Demarion Williams in the 6th round. Because he's kind of similar to the player they had a while back in oh my god, I can't for Ladarius Webb, excuse me. Kind of reversal safety corner hybrid, play him in nickel, play him in the box, just kind of move him all over the place where we need to in coverage. This is incredible. It's actually a little because I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. This is bad. I'm fumbling the bag. I'm fumbling so hard right now. Good Lord.
You're excited.
I'm excited because I listen to, man, I've been on Demarion Williams for like a good long while. Like since summer, like I've had I had an early late 3rd round grade on him like in the summer. And now I get him in here in round 4. It's beautiful. It's delicious.
And to your favorite team. Look at that.
Yeah.
So the Ravens making Nick Price very, very happy. And now we can finally pivot to those pesky Los Angeles Rams. The defending Super Bowl champs are on the clock. They took Wisconsin offensive tackle Logan Bruss last night with their first pick in this draft. Les Snead said, fuck them picks except on day 3 and his day 2 pick last night. So the Rams won the Super Bowl. Obviously not a ton of pressure, but I don't know. There's some guys on the board that I think could help them for sure.
QB.
Yeah, man, I would love to see them get Carson Strong or Sam Howell here. And I'm a Matt Stafford person. I know that he's like a polarizing prospect. So obviously not an instant replacement, but I mean, I'd love to see them develop a Sam Howell, Carson Strong. I think there's a ton to work with there, and this is a good place for them. I am still trying to process Bailey Zappi going before them. Honestly, that's probably my penance for making fun of Malik Willis for 8 hours the past 2 days. That's probably what I get, so life has a way of working itself out for some people. Not me, apparently. But we are waiting on that Rams pick still. I am watching a video of Najee Harris announcing the Steelers pick from Mexico, which is phenomenal. Najee, a great personality. Love to see it. Thankfully, he is not a Miami Dolphin. I had to deal with that a lot last year. Again, just waiting on that Rams pick to come through, see what they go with. They took offensive tackle Logan Bruss. We mentioned quarterback. I don't know. Maybe they double down at offensive line, take Darian Kennard off the board. I think he's probably BPA for most of us here right now. Why do we think he's still on the board? We can have that conversation.
That's a good question. I know he's training with Duke in Frisco, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if there's some red flags that we were missing or what the deal is.
I think he has some questionable views about the vaccine, so maybe that could be it. But
I knew he was a. You know what? I'm not going to say that. I knew that he had some questionable views on the vaccine. I just didn't think that would push him this far down the draft.
I don't think that has anything to do with it at this point. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's maybe it's injuries, maybe it's I don't know. Oh, I don't want to talk about injuries with Duke because he'll be sure to let me know if I'm right or wrong about it. So
yeah, maybe they just don't like his film. I don't know. Like that's like probably the only thing that I could think of.
They probably watched that damn Georgia tape like you did, and they were like, "Oh my god, this whole Kentucky team doesn't deserve to exist on planet Earth."
Look, the problem with that game is that like I use that as such a benchmark game for all those prospects because they were facing 11 NFL caliber players on the other side. Like that's what Sunday is going to look like for you. I'm sorry. I'm just very passionate about that being a bad pick. The Rams are selecting Jacoby Durant with this selection. Not a player that I watched. The Rams have a very, very long history of drafting players I did not watch. Does anyone want to talk about Jacoby Durant.
Is
What
he
position
from
does he
South
play?
Carolina or South Carolina State?
South Carolina, I think.
South Carolina? Is this the first player that none of us know?
I know about him. I just never watched him.
Yeah, I mean, I know about him because like Rams fans would never shut the hell up about him, but
Really?
yeah.
All
Well,
right.
okay, well, you know which Rams fan I'm talking about.
Oh, there's a specific Rams fan you're talking about? Yeah, he is from South Carolina State, not South Carolina. He ran a 4.38 at the NFL Combine in the 40s, so that's pretty nice. He's 5'10", 180 with 30-inch arms, so probably a speedy slot corner. Really, really good high school recruit. Strengths, he has a lot of ball production, 12 career interceptions, turns his head to find it. He has good footwork to match in the slot. I think his weaknesses are pretty much all size-based. I mean, he's just short and light, played at a small school, not a good tackler, not a great run defender. Needs a little bit of rounding out, but he is the cornerback selection here for the LA Rams. Jacoby Durant from South Carolina State, which I believe is our second HBCU pick, right? Joshua Williams was the other one, if I remember correctly. So 2 HBCU corners coming off the board here in the 4th round, which is always a really, really good thing to see. And we are approaching the last pick of the 4th round, 2 hours into this stream. Looks like we might have another 4 hour on our hands, guys. Tennessee will be making the last pick here in the 4th round. Go ahead, Harbs.
I have some fun Bailey Zapp quotes I thought you would like.
Oh, God.
Goodness gracious.
From Ian
Fire
Rappaport,
away.
from Evaluators. Insanely smart. Ball gets out of his hands so fast. He'll be a great backup forever. And if I was picking a quarterback for my flag football team, he would be my number 1 pick.
Well, that's an incredibly low bar, so you know what?
And I figured that's exactly what you would say about him. So
I mean, honestly, I think that says a lot about the player. If you were talking about an NFL prospect and your mind goes to flag football as Browning puts the trade up on the bottom of the screen, I mean, come on. I'm sorry. I got to stop crapping on this guy. He's literally a 4th round pick out of Western Kentucky. Who cares? Seattle is trading 145 to Kansas City for 158, and we just got the Titans pick as well. And it is one of my all Hollywood players. Chig Okonkwo, the tight end fullback from Maryland, is going to the Tennessee Titans. And then it looks like Seattle will be making the 2nd pick in the 5th round. So the last pick in the 4th round, Chig Okonkwo, the tight end fullback from Maryland. Nick, do you want to take this one?
I will, because I was like foolishly very high on him. I like how he could probably be split out as like a big wide receiver in the slot. I don't trust his blocking ability that much because he's kind of a smaller guy, but I do. But I kind of watched him heavily and was, followed him heavily because he's a guy Baltimore met with, which I'm a little shocked they didn't draft him, but they have Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kohler, so who cares? No, I think Tennessee's been looking for a good tight end for a while, and I think he has the potential to be a very steady contributor for them going forward. I like the pick for them. Good athlete, ran really well, no complaints.
Harbs, anything to add? I don't know if you watched him or not.
I did. I couldn't really find anything that I could get a substance. I mean, I liked him from his testing standpoint. That was kind of him and Jelani Woods were the big guys for that at the combine. So Nick, I think, said it very well.
Yeah, I agree. I really loved Okonkwo. I think he honestly could do a little bit of Jonnu Smith stuff for them. I really do. I think he's got the body type for it to be that kind of move, manufactured touch tight end that they seem to like. And we have officially entered the 5th round of the 2022 NFL draft after 38 4th round picks come off the board. The Washington Commanders will make the first pick of the 5th round. And then we had a trade at that 2nd pick. It is going to be the Seattle Seahawks making that pick, I believe, right? Not the Kansas City Chiefs. So we are hopefully going to go a little bit quicker here in the 5th round, but the Titans taking Chig Okonkwo at the last pick of the 4th round, and we are waiting on the Washington Commanders to make the first pick of the 5th round. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Commanders, bit of a weird draft. Fedarian Mathis, Jahan Dotson. I don't know, man. What does expectations for Washington look like this year? That's an interesting question because I had high expectations for them last year, And then they kind of had to deal with some quarterback problems.
I mean, I actually have no idea.
Yeah, right. Like that's the.
I really have no
right?
idea.
It's like, what do you because I feel like they are on the trajectory of like, okay, they need to make the playoffs, or Ron Rivera and that general manager. I mean, they're going to get fired, right? I mean, like I think that they've been kind of on the fringe of competing, at a high level in the NFC East for the past couple of years. They haven't done it.
I have the pick.
Fire away. It's the 5th round.
It's Sam Howell.
For Washington in the 5th round?
I love that.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
I
Is
love
it
that.
really Sam Howell? Wow.
Yes.
That is perfect, honestly.
Man, I was just crapping on them, and they just made a really good pick. They are really – everyone's out to get me today. Who wants to talk about this one first?
I'll throw my hat in. So, like, as far as from the Washington angle, like, they've got Carson Wentz, and who the hell knows? Like, well, we do know. It's not going to work. But now you have Sam Howell potentially who could jump in. He'll probably play this year, if we're being honest. I know they still have Tyler Heineke on roster, don't they?
I believe so. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm mistaken.
Howell's a younger. I mean, he's an athletic type quarterback, just like Wentz and Heineke. I think Howell would be able to be in a position to succeed. You got Dotson, Scary Terry. There, you've also got obviously the running back plethora of Gibson and Brian Robinson now, who they just drafted. So I like this a lot. Ron Rivera does well he doesn't throw his quarterbacks to the fire too much. So I think Howell won't be put in a situation to necessarily lose on purpose. So I think if he gets a chance, he's going to well have earned it.
Anyone else want to comment on Sam Howell being the first pick of the 5th round?
He was my QB 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate
same here.
Yeah. He was my QB 3. So I'm pretty high on this one. I mean, I just think really, really good fit. And again, he doesn't have to play right now. I don't know. I really like the upside. I think you get him in a room with Jahan Dotson, Diami Brown, and Terry McLaurin. I mean, those are tailor-made.
Diami Brown back.
Yeah, tailor-made wide receivers for the type of game that Sam Howell wants to play. So I don't know. I really like this pick. This might be my favorite Commanders pick of the entire draft, frankly. Sam Howell goes off the board. And Darian Kennard is next off the board. Browning, you want to talk about him? He's been the guy you've been talking about all stream.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Let me pull up his report.
Of course he went to the Chiefs.
Wait, really?
Chiefs are killing it, man. Or isn't that Seattle's pick? Didn't they trade? Or no? Did Kansas City trade up with Seattle? Draft Diamond says... Oh, okay. Yeah, it is the Chiefs. The Chiefs have selected Darian Kennard. Go ahead, Browning.
He is my interior offensive lineman 4 with the 2nd round grade. Has patient feet in his pass sets. He can get pulled off balance by defenders to establish hand position. Played tackle at Kentucky. Best projects as a guard. Generally has good balance. Good hand placement on run plays. Very violent player. Finishes blocks in the dirt a lot. Stays panicked in his pass sets. Good football IQ. Doesn't drop his hips the best. Can stand to get a better anchor. He was able to reach 3 techs at tackle and flip and seal his hips. So he has good hip flexibility. Very good run blocker. Moves people off the line of scrimmage. I really like Kennard here, and this is phenomenal value.
Back-to-back value picks for us.
Yeah, really. I think 2 players that I fully expected to go much earlier in Kennard and Howell. I mean, 2 of the top players left on my board. Man, I don't know. Like those picks, really. I love what the Chiefs have done in this draft. I really think that they've done a phenomenal job. The Giants are making the next 2 picks, it looks like, after the Chiefs. They're going to be back-to-back on the clock here as we are working our way through the 5th round. We are coming up on the end of this BCS stream. Man, 2 really good picks in a row. Maybe my 2 favorite picks of the day. I just hope that there's not something crazy wrong with Kennard. we'll see what happens moving forward. But yeah, the Giants are coming up here. The Giants have made a ton of picks of players that I have not watched after having a really good day one. So I don't want to say they've had a bad draft. They've just consistently selected players I did not get eyes on. But going back to day one, I mean, geez, Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal is about as good as it gets. I don't know. Is this Carson Strong? I wouldn't hate it. I'd be on board with that. I think that's another good landing spot for a quarterback.
The Rams are trading for the Browns a player. We got a player trade, Troy Hill, from the Browns.
Wasn't Troy Hill on the Rams?
Yeah, he was before. They said trading for an old friend.
Oh, that's funny. So they gave up what? Their 5th rounder?
Maybe. I don't know. There's no compensation attached to it, but just thought I'd drop that nugget in.
Interesting. All right. Well, Troy Hill going back to the Rams. He was pretty good for them, right? He was like kind of their slot corner, safety guy.
Yeah, I mean, the whole DB group really got better over the last couple of years. They brought in a lot of veteran guys, and Hill was one of them. So he's definitely got some juice left in the tank, or gas, I guess is what you put in gas tanks, not juice. But
I put juice in my gas tank. Gas is too expensive these days.
It's true. But yeah, no, I like that acquisition for the Rams as much as I hate them to keep making good football moves.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you mean. You draft Martin Emerson and you want to get him on the field. You just paid Denzel Ward. I guess that's kind of what the Browns are thinking there. The Giants are taking linebacker Micah McFadden from the University of Indiana. Brownie, you gave a little reaction there. You want to talk a bit about Micah McFadden?
I didn't watch him, but doesn't he have big off the field concerns?
I was not aware of any off the field for McFadden. I was aware of bad tape. So that is probably where I would come down on him, but I guess we can find out. This is why they paid Daniel Jeremiah so much money, I assume. But yeah.
Thing here. I'm not seeing anything popping up, but obviously,
all I see is that he's a big time leader for Indiana. So McFadden for me was kind of a downhill 2-down linebacker. I think he's got questionable eye discipline against the pass. So I don't know how much I love him in coverage, but I do like him moving downhill to make some plays in the running game. I think he's probably a guy that you look to play on special teams as well pretty early in his career. And I believe the next pick is already in. It is Arizona State defensive lineman DJ Davidson, the next pick for the New York Giants. So they go with Micah McFadden, the linebacker from Indiana, and then DJ Davidson, the Arizona State defensive lineman. Brady, did you get a chance to get eyes on him or no?
I did not.
Okay, well, I've got his draft profile pulled up. He is a 6'3", 327-pound defensive tackle with 33-inch arms, put up 23 reps on the bench press, 28 in the vert, ran a 7.85 cone and a 4.72 20-yard shuttle. He seems to be a run stuffer type player. Gets pretty good production in the running game. He can slow down double teams, has decent hand usage. Just not really sure about his body frame. It seems like there's a lot of complaints about his ability to hold good weight. And people aren't really sure about his pass rush upside, at least according to what I'm reading. So the Giants, again, continue to take players that I have not watched. And apparently there is another trade as we are finally starting to fire off these day 3 picks as quickly as usual. The Bears are trading pick 148 to Chicago, to the Buffalo Bills. So the Bills are moving up 20 spots in exchange for a 2023 6th rounder per Field Yates of ESPN. So Buffalo making the next pick, not the Chicago Bears. They're moving up 20 spots here in the 5th round. Be interesting to see who they're targeting with this selection. I don't think we've seen Buffalo pick in a minute. They've traded down a ton in this draft.
Also, compensation on the Troy Hill trade is a future pick. It doesn't say when in the future, but it doesn't sound like it was anything too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense, honestly. You know what I mean? Like how the Rams probably feel good about his scheme fit. The Browns just drafted his replacement, right? So I'm assuming that that's where they're going to go with that. Again, we are waiting on Buffalo to make the next selection. They just made a trade with the Chicago Bears, who have had I would say I'm going to go with a questionable draft. But, I don't know. It seems like they're trying to run their own quarterback out of town. I don't just my 2 cents, though. Who knows? Anyone we like here in this trade up? Anyone glaring, staring at you guys on the board right now you think should come off?
Yeah, I've got a lot of running backs on my board because the receivers kind of flew off there in round 4.
Anyone know how many receivers have been drafted already? I feel like we're really running up into the 20s. I mean, we have to be, right?
Zion McCollum?
Oh, that's your guy.
Yeah, Browning's been campaigning for him.
Yeah, that is your guy. Man, still happy about that Sam Howell pick. It's a really good spot for him.
Yeah, I do think that's a perfect. I like that situation way more than I do Malik Willis.
In Tennessee, really?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I like all of the QB landing spots, even the Bailey Zappi one. I like all of them except for Kenny Pickett's, frankly.
Well, I think Pickett in Pittsburgh, they take care of quarterbacks there. Like, even when they have like not great ones and they're transitioning, they've always had good quarterback play. That's one thing they've always been able to get out of their guys. So even in the 90s from good old Neil O'Donnell, they had a couple serviceable years from XFL MVP Tommy Maddox before they had Ben come in. So definitely something they can do. They got good play out of Charlie Batch, Dennis Dixon. So
it is Austin's boy, Boise State wide receiver Khalil Shakur, the selection here in the 5th round in a trade up for the Buffalo Bills. Boise State's Khalil Shakur had a day 2 grade on some people. Harbs, I'm assuming you watched him. You want to break him down?
Yeah. We talked about him yesterday, I think, for a fit for Buffalo when they were talking about getting a slot guy to replace Cole Beasley. So I definitely like Shakur a lot. I think he's great in space, twitchy. Route running is pretty good, I think, for all things considered. I think with Buffalo, I think he'll fit in seamlessly and really get start from day one, even as a 5th round pick. So I know they've got Gabe Davis and they brought back Isaiah McKenzie and they obviously got Stephon Diggs, but I think Shakur does something different than all 3 of them do. It could work well in the slot. So yeah, I like that a lot for him.
Browning, anything to add on the Boise State wide receiver?
Yeah, I know Austin wanted him for the Cowboys as Boise State connection is real there. I had a 4th on him, I believe. Let me check here real quick.
I had a 3rd on him.
I had a 5 on him, so he's going about where I thought he would go. But
I had a 4th on him. Let's see. Pull up my report here. He's always seeming to find the open hole against the defense and give the QB an open throwing window. Gets the safety consistently to bite on his double moves. Flashes suddenness in his breaks. His blocking is adequate, has moments of being willing, but not consistent. Contested catchability is weak spot, doesn't have a big frame. But he does go up and high point the football. His separation, it's really won by finding soft spots against the zone. Has reliable hands. Has a couple releases in his toolbox. Very good yards after the catchability. Good ball tracker. I like him here.
Yeah, well, it seems like we're all cool with it. Again, this is about where I had him graded, so I think this makes a lot of sense. Buffalo just trying to add to the weapons that they have around Josh Allen, trying to get to the next level, win that NFC East again this year. Coming up next is the Washington Commanders. They are making their first picks and selecting Sam Howell. They still pretty weird draft, and I just got the selection in, and it is another player that I think we can talk about a little bit. It is Nevada tight end Cole Turner, the selection here for the Washington Commanders. Harbs, you say you like it. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, Turner, I mean, he's not a good blocker, first off. Definitely was not used like that in Nevada. He was definitely there. He's really just another receiver, but they had him lined up at tight end sometimes. Really small frame as far as for like a tight end goes, or thin frame, I should say. Good hands. He has no problem going into contact, make contested catches. Real tall, though. Good for the red zone threat there. Made a couple athletic catches there on film. So I thought he was a way better weapon in that offense than Romeo was, and who he went earlier. So I like that a lot for Washington, though.
Browning?
He was my last graded tight end with the 5th round grade. He's a stiff mover and he lacks explosion. Had a 1.71 10-yard split, which was 18th percentile. Not a great yards after the catch threat, but he threatens the defense vertically, especially up the seam. Good in contested catch situations, as Harb said. Uses a big slot very often. Not very much an inline, more traditional tight end. He doesn't maintain the best position when blocking, and he struggles to get his lower half set. But here in the 5th, I don't hate the pick at all.
Yeah, it's definitely a dart throw. Just kind of give your offense a couple more weapons. Who's their other tight end on roster? I was trying.
I know they have Logan Thomas.
Oh yeah,
right?
Logan
the converted
Thomas,
quarterback from Virginia Tech. I think he's been the tight end, but he got hurt last year, if I remember correctly. So possibly looking to get a long-term replacement for Thomas, who I think has been on and off the field, even though he's gotten a lot better in recent years. So the Commanders seems like they make 2 picks here back-to-back in the 5th round that we really like after a bit of an up and down day 1 and 2 for them. Austin Maller, who is a big Cole Turner and Khalil Shakir guy. Looks like he just got word in our group chat that those guys came off the board. So happy to see our guy thriving there. We are hopefully winding down. Again, these picks still not coming in as fast as I want them to, but we have another trade. Chicago is trading with Houston, and the Bears are now on the clock. So the Bears are trading up here with the Houston Texans to make this next selection in the 5th round. The Bears just traded back to let somebody else come up, so now they're trading back up. We'll see what they want to do. I mean, the Bears, I don't know. Not a huge fan of their draft.
There's not even any receivers here to help field that I like at this point.
Yeah.
I think Bo Melton's my best available.
Me too, for sure. We're starting to get into Bo Melton territory. I really hope he gets drafted. I would be sick to my stomach if he's a UDFA because I really liked his film. Hopefully he comes off the board.
Is my best available.
I didn't watch Mekhi Polk, so
I did not either.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be
And
Mekhi
then
Polk.
there's Justin Ross, but he may go undrafted.
Yeah, those injuries, man, are tough. I really feel bad for Justin Ross. It is neither of those. Per NFL Draft Diamonds, the Texans are selecting Thomas Booker, the defensive end from Stanford. Browning, did you get a chance to watch Thomas Booker or no?
I did not. He was really highly regarded earlier in his career, but it seemed to kind of fizzle out. He earned invites to the Shrine Bowl this year, put up some decent tape there, but I did not do a final eval on him.
I liked Booker. I think he's got some potential, a little bit of a move piece. He can be a hand in the dirt defensive end or maybe a 3-tech. I think you really, really like his explosiveness, natural athletic ability. I think he can get into gaps. Just not really sure how refined he is around the edges as far as pass rush plan is concerned. How much power do you have in that frame? I'm not really sure about that, but I think this is a good dart throw for Houston in the 5th round. I think Booker can be a good rotational player for you at the next level. So I like this selection for the Texans. They move up with the Chicago Bears, who again, like Harves was saying, bit of a weird draft. No receivers left on the board that we particularly love. Some of the offensive linemen that were falling down the board have also gone off, guys like Darian Kennard. So the Bears here are just continuing to trade back. And I don't know. That's a franchise I'm a little bit concerned for, frankly.
I talked about listening to fantasy radio yesterday on Sirius, and the one they constantly say Chicago has the worst roster in the league, and I don't think it's there, but I mean
it's close.
It's not ideal. Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, I think it's really close. I was looking at it the other day.
Do you think they have a shot at the number? I mean, that division. I mean, I would argue they're definitely the worst team in the division now. I think Detroit's really taken some steps. Obviously, you got Minnesota and Green Bay there. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do. there. I mean, you're going to probably looking at a top 5 pick next year at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't particularly. I think it's going to be tough. I mean, how good is Jared Goff? I think is the only thing that worries me for Detroit, possibly. But we have the next selection. The Falcons have taken BYU running back Tyler Algier here in the 5th round. Player that I think got some day 2 hype, but he's going to go in the 5th round. Tyler Algier to the Falcons. Harv's another skill position guy here. Did you watch Algier?
Yeah, and I liked his tape. Everyone liked his tape. I think it was the testing numbers that made everybody run for the hill. Even though you could have probably beat him up that hill based on the testing numbers running up it. But they have a need at running back in Atlanta. They tried the Todd Gurley experiment a couple years ago. It didn't work out. They had Cordero Patterson be what Debo was in San Francisco to a lesser degree. Who they brought Cordero Patterson back. They have Mike Davis there as well. Pitt legend Quadri Olison is also there. So, I mean, all 3 of those guys are not exciting for running backs. I don't think Algier is either, but I think he has a chance to earn some starting reps and has a chance to carve out a role for sure in Atlanta. So, good pick, fun little pick here. I don't know exactly what he'll end up being, but I definitely like the flyer here from Atlanta.
Browning, any thoughts on the BYU ball carrier?
Yeah, I think he was my running back 8 or 9. Has adequate vision, able to lower his shoulder and absorb contact in the open field. Has soft hands, good, reliable pass catcher. Surprisingly held his own in pass blocking. I was really impressed there.
Yes.
Able to set defenders up to miss an open field. Gets a top gear quickly, but doesn't have the best long speed. Had 6 fumbles on his career, with his highest being in 2021, where he had 4. Creativity was another knock. He doesn't create out of structure a ton. I had a low 3 on him. I don't hate the pick.
Yeah, I had 3rd on him too, so.
Well, it looks like we're 3 of a kind. I like this pick as well. I believe I had a 4 on him, but again, we're in the 5th round. I like Algier's vision. I just think he's got really good feet. I think he can be a quality back in a rotation moving forward.
It was him and Kyron Williams were both like, you love the tape, but holy hell, the testing scares the living shit out of
I
you.
forgot about Kyron Williams, man. We haven't talked about him a single time on this entire stream. We're running on 10 hours of stream. I don't think we've said Kyron Williams' names a single time, which is crazy.
Yeah, if you want me to throw out some running backs that we got available here just for teams to kind of go through, you got Tyler Batty. You've got, like I said, Kyron Williams. You've got Jerome Ford is still out there. You've got
Has Abram
Corbin.
Smith gone?
No.
Abram Smith is still out there. Ty Chandler from North Carolina. Tyler Goodson. I don't think we're going to hear a lot of these guys this round. I think that's
Who the hell is this?
I was about to say Oklahoma. Denver is taking Oklahoma's Darian Turner Yell with the next pick. I did not watch him at all.
This is a Key and Peele name. I don't know him.
Laren Turner Yell.
Laren Turner Yell.
Well, the Oklahoman has a very nice article. It says 3 things to know about.
He is a safety, 5'11", 200. He was an all Big 12 second team selection, started in all 10 games, which he played this past year. I have never heard of this man in my life. I guess that makes me bad at my job, doesn't it?
Yeah, it happens. So he's from Hempstead, Texas. Do you know where that's at, Browning?
No clue.
Cool. So best game was Iowa State. It says he had a career high 11 tackles and an interception. He was all Big 12 second team. He was an all academic Big 12 second team as well. He chose Oklahoma over Nebraska, Utah, and Houston. Wow, those are some hard-hitting analysis from the Oklahoman there.
I got 17th ranked safety.
Okay, so not the best. I got a round 5 grade here from Lance Zerloin on NFL Network. He's a 3-year starter. They think he's pretty fluid, decent athlete, ran a 4.47 40 jumped 122 inches in the broad. He's 5'10", 197 with 31-inch arms and 10-inch hands. So, and we just got the next pick in. The Seattle Seahawks have selected UTSA cornerback Tariq Woolen with their next selection. So Seattle doubling down on corner. They're going with Kobe Bryant. I believe they selected him in the 4th round. And then now Tariq Woolen here in the 5th. Browning, you want to talk a little bit about him?
This is a Seattle pick if I've ever seen it. Fast, long arms. I mean, it's a match made for Seattle.
This is why I was campaigning. From all the hours of film I invested in the Roadrunner defense, I knew Tariq Woolen would be a fantastic fit for Seattle. So,
yeah, I mean, I think you don't see corners this big that run this fast very often. I think that, again, you're throwing the dart at an athlete here. I got a chance to watch his film pretty late in the process. He was one of the last players I wrote up this year. I honestly, I threw this out there and everybody yelled at me. I think he could be a safety, a strong safety at the next level. I like his size and ability there. But again, I'm not really sure how much I would bank on him being a down-to-down man coverage outside corner. I just did not see that on film. But I like this dart throw here in the 5th round for Seattle. Good value, really, really good athlete. Like what Seattle's done in general. And that brings the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock as we'll get a chance to catch up a little bit here. These picks are starting to come in a little bit quicker, thank God. The Eagles are making another pick here. They have had a pretty good draft. Cam Jurgens yesterday. They got the trade for AJ Brown. They took Jordan Davis in a trade up on day 1. They're really interested to see what the Eagles do here in the 5th round. I just turned my head and saw Pete Carroll shirtless with DK Metcalf from the draft a couple days ago. That was a little bit upsetting. Or a couple years ago. But yeah, the Eagles back on the clock here. I don't know. Is there anyone glaring on the board here that pops to you guys for the Eagles?
I'm going to say him again, Zion McCollum.
You really like him. That's your guy. Is he your highest ranked player still left?
Let me check. He very well might be. Well, no, I have Michael Wright above him. I didn't knock him for testing. Let's see. He's up there. I like Brock Hoffman a lot. Timon Clark, I didn't knock him for his injury.
Just real quick, we talked about Tariq Woolen being a crazy athlete. The numbers on that, again, 4.26 40 with a 42-inch vert at 6'4". Just throwing that out there. And when we say crazy athlete, I mean, we mean crazy athlete. He's 6'4", 205, and he ran a 4.26. I mean, just a nutty football player. Again, we're just waiting on the Eagles.
What is Aaron Rodgers doing playing in a band?
He's playing in a band?
It looked exactly like him.
He said he's trying to go for the Nick Cage look right now when Nick Cage gets off the bus.
Yeah, the Eagles are trading back, evidently. Unclear who is moving up with the Eagles, but
Jaguars.
The Jaguars. Yep. So the Jaguars are coming up. I feel like we haven't said their name in quite a while, and I'm assuming that's only a trade back of 2 spots as I look at the draft order here. The Jaguars are coming up, and Field Yates has it. Oh, the Eagles are going to move back all the way to 188. And the pick is Ole Miss running back Snoop Connor. Phenomenal name, firstly, Snoop. So Jacksonville moving up here in the 5th round to take the Ole Miss running back Snoop Connor in a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if either of you guys watched Snoop Connor. I did not.
Nope.
He had one really good highlight run where he absorbed contact and went in for the score, but that's all I've seen.
All right, so we are 0 for 3 on Snoop Connor. I mean, I can't believe we didn't watch him. I mean, he's got such a good name. I mean, how did we not watch Snoop, man? Jeez. All right, well, Snoop Connor, the pick here in a trade up, looking at his combine numbers, 4.59 40-yard dash, put up 25 reps on the bench, jumped 29 inches in the vert, 118 broad jump. Let's see. Comp to Alexander Madison from Lance Zierlein of NFL Network. Thick, physical, muscular frame. Has really good contact balance and has scheme versatility. Not really sure about his vision. Seems like he doesn't have an extra gear, so definitely not a speed back. Seems more like a power back, and he's certainly built like one, 5'10", 222 with 30-inch arms from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. So Snoop Connor, the pick here for Jacksonville.
Sherion Ely is in this class, right?
I believe
Yes.
so. Yeah,
He was the wrong Ole Miss running back.
I agree. I didn't really like either of them, frankly. But
Yeah, I think I had a higher grade on Ely for sure.
I think that offense is just not running back friendly, which is very interesting considering they have Zach Evans coming in from TCU.
Yeah, and we
this
also
year.
have the next pick.
Every time I try to speak, the NFL just says shut the hell up and move on.
It is the Cowboys, and it is North Dakota, not North Dakota State, North Dakota offensive tackle Matt Walesko. I don't know if either of you guys watched him. I have a little bit on him. Long, big frame. Thought he had an okay Senior Bowl. Really, really good athlete. Tested out of the gym. His RAS was like almost a perfect 10, if I remember correctly. So it looks like the Cowboys are taking a big swing at the bat here at offensive tackle. Another tackle, Browning. I mean, I know you don't know a ton about him, but just based on the fact that he's a raw offensive tackle, how you feeling about this pick?
I'm surprised they're taking a smallish school player. The Cowboys hate small school players. I'm really surprised to see them do it.
Well, I don't know. I think that's a good trend to break, in my opinion. I think we've seen some really good talent come from small schools recently. So,
is he offensive tackle, right?
Yes, he's an offensive tackle from North Dakota.
Okay, he's 7th rounder according to Brugler. Great.
That's the 5th round. Who cares? Really, really good tester. I know that. I think his RAS score was really, really high. Yeah, we are certainly getting into the wee hours of the draft where we have not watched a lot of these players again.
I'll be right back.
We are not paid enough money to watch these players that consistently. Some of us are paid zero money to watch these players, but just pulling up Matt Walesko ran a 5.03 40-yard dash, which is pretty good. Had a 30-inch vertical jump, 113 in the broad, a 6th, 7th round projection, arms, 35-inch arms. So he's got the length, he's got the athleticism. He's 6'8" and 312. So I mean, you're just getting a big, moldable player. Hopefully here for Dallas, they're taking a bit of a dart throw at the board. We are winding down here, waiting for this 5th round to keep on moving. We've seen a
You're just trying to speak that into existence.
I really am. I am really trying to speak that into existence. That is a really weird tweet I just got, but thank you very much.
Like at you or someone sent it to you?
A little bit of both. The Browns have drafted Cincinnati running back Jerome Ford with the next
I like
pick.
that.
Harbs, I'll let you talk about that, given it's a skill position and your favorite team.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. We had Ernest Johnson in the backfield, and we have Kareem Hunt obviously there with Nick Chubb. Ford, I think, definitely fits more of that Kareem Hunt mold where he could be a pass catcher as well as a good vision running back. Went to Cincinnati after transferring from Alabama. That crowded running back room, obviously, like we talked about yesterday, was why Brian Robinson never got a shot until later on. I liked what he did for Cincinnati. He was a big reason they were successful and they were able to kind of move the ball last season when Desmond Ritter's inaccurate passing held them back at times. But I like it a lot for Cleveland. I don't think he's going to have anything high expectation-wise because, like I said, you've got Chubb and Hunt in front of him. So, yeah, like I said, nice little change of pace and somebody to wear I don't know what the long-term vision is with Kareem Hunt. I think Nick Chubb's obviously going to be there for the long haul, but I think that's somebody maybe next year if you cut bait with Hunt, you have somebody who could step into that pass-catching role a little bit more comfortably.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot. I like Jerome Ford. I had a high 4 on him, if I remember correctly. I think he's got really solid straight line speed, made a lot of really, really big plays for the Bearcats. I think this is a good selection. Again, like you said, Harbs, I mean, there's a lot of solid running backs still on the board. I think teams are going to get, some good value, some good rotational contributors at this point in the draft. So Jerome Ford, another Cincinnati Bearcat. off the board. I believe that puts Jacksonville on the clock now for the second time in the 5th round. They just moved up for Snoop Connor out of Ole Miss, and they're going to be making another pick here. I'd like to see them go offense. I think they need as much help as they can possibly get on the offensive side of the ball, and they have seemed to really double down on defense with their haul this year. So I'd like to see Jacksonville continue investing in offense. Maybe a player that we've actually heard of would be a little bit better than Snoop Connor.
NFL Network has Tampa Bay as after Cleveland.
Did we get a trade that we didn't hear about?
I'm not sure.
Mine says Jacksonville after Cleveland.
I'm looking at TB, so that's either Tyler Browning's picking or Tampa Bay.
I think Tyler Browning's picking.
Hey, Zion McCollum, baby, come on down.
Oh, here's the trade. It just came through per Field Yates. The Jaguars are trading 157 and 235, and the Buccaneers are trading a 4th round pick next year, straight up for 157 and 235. So the Jaguars get a 4th round pick in the 2023 NFL draft, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be making this selection again per Field Yates of ESPN. We will see what the Buccaneers want to do. That's a pretty decent price to pay, and it is Browning's guy, Zion McCollum. Browning, I'll let you take it away. You've been, asking people to draft this guy for the last 2 hours and 40 minutes. So talk to me.
Yeah, he got a 3rd round grade for me. Let me pull up his report real quick.
Sam Houston State corner, Zion McCollum.
Yes, he was a late add to the Senior Bowl. Got there because someone had to drop out. Patient feet and press man doesn't open up his hips too early. Has a few occasions of giving up separation at the breaking point, but he stays in phase well on deep routes. Kind of got picked on with ball placement in some of the games I watched by QBs, but he's very comfortable playing in trail, comfortable in press bail, can handle switch releases with ease. Super fluid hips, seamless change to direction ability, absurd athlete, tested out of his mind at the combine. Ran a 4.33. Transitions his eyes to the receiver's eyes, so when he knows when to turn and locate and make a play on the football. Biggest knock was in the run game. He prefers to work around blocks rather than through them. But superb athlete. I mean, here in the 5th, you can't get a better dart throw.
All right, it looks like the next pick has come in as well. So Tyler's guy finally off the board there. You love to see it. The Seahawks are selecting Tyreek Smith with the next pick. I did not watch him. The Seahawks, again, doubling here. Tyreek Smith, the selection reportedly from Georgia, Tyreek Smith. Sorry about that. Tyreek Smith, the selection here for the Seahawks. Seattle has made a ton of picks in this draft. I like what they've done so far. I know we've talked about it at length as they add Tyreek Smith here in the 5th, but and by the way, that is Ohio State's Tyreek Smith, which is why I didn't want to say Georgia, and then I said it anyway. Tyreek Smith is a defensive end from Ohio State. He was a guy that I decided not to watch in the Big Ten because I just didn't really like him. I think you're getting a really limited edge prospect here in Tyreek Smith. I think at best he's a rotational power rusher for you at the next level. He's going to have to win in with his length and his power. I don't think you get a ton of speed. I don't think you get a ton of bend. I don't think you get a ton of pass rush plan. I don't know. I think he's somebody who plays 30% of your snaps, and you're kind of happy with the baseline play that you get if he hits his ceiling. So not a player that I particularly love in Tyreek Smith, but it's the 5th round. There's not going to be a ton of players that I particularly love left on the board. Browning, anything to say about Seattle or Tyreek Smith?
If I recall correctly, wasn't Tyreek Smith very highly recruited?
I believe he was. Yeah. He also had some day 2 buzz over the summer. There was a lot of people that liked him and his counterpart, Harrison, who ended up going back to school. I really liked his counterpart, Harrison, but he ended up going back to school there. Tyreek Smith, the pick there for Seattle. Yep. And it is the Colts drafting defensive tackle Eric Johnson with the next selection. So the Colts are sticking to what seems to be a decent run on small school players here. Eric Johnson from Missouri State is the selection here by the Indianapolis Colts. Did you get a chance to watch him, Browning, or no?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. So I focused on him at the Senior Bowl a little bit. So I'll talk a little bit about what I saw there. I saw a player with a lot of pass rush upside, a little bit undersized, but I think that you are undersized from a weight perspective. I think he's got the height and length to win in those scenarios. But I think you've got good juice with this player as well. He is 6'4", 300. So he's got a lean frame, 82-inch wingspan with 33-inch arms. So you are just getting a long as hell dude here with good power. I think he showed a really, really nice speed rush at the Senior Bowl. Again, have not watched Missouri State film to really get eyes on him. But I think, again, another athlete here, another small school athlete that a team is just using on a dart throw. I like this selection.
Defensive tackle, right?
Yes, he is. He's a three tech.
Boy,
He's a
if I remember
long,
correctly.
6'4", 300. He is a long three tech, and we just got the next pick coming in as well. The Chargers are selecting UCLA defensive tackle Odo Ogbanina. I don't know. Did you watch him? Yes, no.
Let me check. I'm not sure.
I can talk generally about him. I
Just consider drafting him for the Dolphins, so I did a preliminary write-up of him. He's a nose tackle. He's a big old boulder in the middle of the defense. You just want to plant him there and let him eat blocks for you. I think that if you're going to ask him to come in and be a zero tech nose, I think you're going to like what he does there. The Chargers need some of those guys to run that Brandon Staley system. So, I like this selection in principle.
How do you spell his last name?
It is Ogbannia.
My notes are about as extensive as another defensive tackle from UCLA with 2 O's in his name.
Fair enough. I like this pick. I think that he's a really good nose tackle. We know that I love my fat leads. I think this is a solid fat lead pick here for the Chargers, who I think are having an okay draft. I really like the Zion Johnson pick. I think the JT Woods one is questionable. Some decent dart throws, I think, today for the most part. So I'm really excited about the Chargers, though. I really like that roster. I like what they did this offseason. Justin Herbert is nutty good. So really excited about what the Chargers are able to do here as the 5th round is starting to roll a little bit faster. These picks are starting to come in. We are 17 picks into the 5th round. We are almost 3 hours into this stream. Again, we are going to be wrapping up this stream after the 5th round ends. So there are a couple people who have stuck with us through the haul, have not seen our man Truckman Lane today. I guess he's not out trucking right now.
Shit, he might be. That could be why he's not tuned in.
He said he usually watches while he's trucking.
Oh, shit. More power to him. I don't know then.
He said it keeps him up in a good way. He said he's enjoyed it. So we will see. Man, Dolphins fans are insufferable sometimes. I swear to God. That was the 160th pick there for the Chargers as well. So we are coming up on the end. Browning, any big surprises for you today on day 3? We've seen most of the guys that we've talked about finally come off the board, but any other surprises?
I mean, I don't know if it's really a surprise because of his medicals, but Carson Strong still being on the board.
Yeah.
And Bailey Zappi going before him. I mean, that's a surprise in my book.
I have a really, really sinking feeling that Strong's going to be a UDFA.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that knee's going to scare away a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's medicals, which I'm fine. I'm fine missing for medicals. My big thing is missing for film. I don't mind if I miss for medicals, but we'll see what happens. Carson Strong, I don't know. I just got a bad feeling he's going to end up being a UDFA because of the knee, which would be unfortunate because he was my film QB1 in the class. But
what does he was up there for me too. He was my QB2. Behind Willis, which I'm just batting 1,000 on this class. But
we all are.
Where would you want him to get? Like, say he's a UDFA. Like, if you're Carson Strong, where do you go? Like, for me, my first instinct would be the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Rams would be an interesting spot. I'd listen if the Giants gave me a call. I'd consider going there and competing. I don't know. Off the top of my head, Detroit. If Detroit gave me a call, I'd listen to
that
them.
would be a bad one too.
Yeah, I might be able to get in there behind Jared Goff this year as QB2 and learn. We are waiting. Tampa Bay, get in behind Tom Brady. That wouldn't be bad either.
He wouldn't even be. He'd be QB. I mean, I'm not trying to say Trask. I'm hyping up Trask.
He'd compete with Trask.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Worst case, he'd be just sitting there and learning. So, there's a couple good spots for him.
Yeah, there's some. I don't know. We'll see. I hope he gets picked. New Orleans on the clock here. I wouldn't mind that spot for him either.
Yeah.
As a long-term guy for Jameis.
Pick is in on TV.
Pick is in on TV and it is now in on my phone.
DeMarco Jackson.
Yep, DeMarco Jackson, the selection here for the Saints.
We are really State linebacker, right?
I believe so. Yeah, again, another guy that I did not
just a fantasy guy.
Yeah, did not watch. DeMarco Johnson, the App State linebacker for the Saints, the selection here. Saints have had some decent picks. I think Chris Olave is pretty nice. Probably reached a little bit on Trevor Penning. Take a look at DeMarco Jackson, 6'1", 233-pound linebacker with 32-inch arms, 4.55, 40-yard dash, 33-inch vertical, 125 broad jump. So pretty good athlete, at least testing-wise. 6th round pick, according to Lance Zerloin.
From Devon. He's solid. Extensive notes.
Very extensive. Seems like he's more of a downhill backer, at least according to some of the stuff that I just read.
I know Daniel Jeremiah was a fan, but that also kind of has the whole App State tie to him where Jeremiah always boosts up his App State guys. You mentioned Trevor Penning, and this is something I was talking to a buddy of mine about this morning. And I really want Ndamukong. Did Ndamukong Suh re-sign with Tampa Bay?
I'm honestly not sure off the top of my head.
If he goes to Tampa Bay, I want Trevor Penning to try to pull his Senior Bowl bullshit on Ndamukong Suh, and I want to know how that goes for him.
I don't think it'll go well. I really don't. Don't.
I was like, man, if there's somebody you want to try that on, it'd be Ndamukong Suh.
We are waiting on Denver to make the next selection here in the 5th round. That was DeMarco Jackson going at pick 161 to the New Orleans Saints. We are waiting on the Denver Broncos to make the next selection. I am once again disgruntled with the fact that this is going as slowly as it is. We are literally caught up to the TV broadcast right now, which is honestly unheard of for day 3. I can't remember the last time that they've come in this slowly.
Another player I want to see get drafted, I know we've talked a lot about Carson Strong, just to throw another quarterback name out that we have not said, I guarantee it. EJ Perry out of Brown. I liked him a lot on film. He had a good Shrine Bowl week as well. So he's somebody I think definitely not like now, but round 6 and round 7, I think could definitely be somebody a team takes. Like if Easton Stick can get drafted, like, come on.
I forgot about Easton Stick. I remember Easton Stick was that year was like one of the first years that I would like had a decent following on Twitter. And I remember getting blasted for saying that I thought Easton Stick
North
was
Dakota
bad
State Twitter was Dakota State Twitter's ruthless.
I got blasted. That is like one of my most like hated tweets of all time when I was tweeting out Easton Stick film and I was like, dude, I don't see it. And everybody was like, you're terrible. I will never forget that. I can't remember if it was Stick or somebody else, but Mark Jarvis, I remember felt the wrath of North Dakota State Twitter. So they represent very well. Yeah, they really do.
It is Montreal, Washington.
Who's that?
Who?
I don't know.
Oh, here I like pulling this up so I have something to talk about. Let's get it here.
Oh man, Montreal, Washington is a wide receiver from Samford.
Oh.
That is, okay. Montreal, Washington from Sanford, 5'10", 170. He's from Canton, Georgia. Started 7 games in the spring. Seems like he's a pretty good returner. He caught 27 passes for 406 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also returned 18 punts for an average of 11.1 yards per return. Had a 55-yard punt return touchdown against Furman. So this is the Broncos pick. Here, the wide receiver from Sanford, Montreal, Washington.
From Samford or Stanford?
Sanford, Florida.
Alabama.
So, yeah, tomato at this point. Yeah, I mean, I'm just going through here. He was an NFL PA Collegiate Bowl guy. So 5th round's pretty high for one of them, it seems, based on draft history. No disrespect to that illustrious game, obviously.
Yeah, Denver going with the wide receiver from Sanford that it doesn't seem like even people in the know are too high on. So an interesting pick there. Tennessee is coming back on the clock here. Maybe they'll get Malik Willis some help. But Montreal, Washington, wide receiver.
They did get Willis some help.
No, there you go. They did. Kyle Phillips, the UCLA wide receiver. We can talk about this player. I think that we have actually watched this guy. Harbs, I'll let you go first. I got to go get a phone charger, so just kill some time.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was a Shrine Bowl guy. I think it was Sycamore kept posting on Twitter how his route running was just dominating DBs all week at the Shrine Bowl out in Vegas. I think he was the game MVP as well, right, Browning?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he really came out of there, and a lot of people were campaigning for him to get a Senior Bowl invite after the fact. So none of those players got that call this year, but if there was one to get it, they thought it would have been Kyle Phillips, especially with them having some wide receiver injuries too during the week. But I believe he got offered it, turned it down because of a red eye situation, and they didn't think it'd be conducive for his performance, which obviously I think is okay. Coming from UCLA, 5th round pick here now to Tennessee. I like that pick a lot, honestly. I think they needed somebody like him in that offense to go opposite Traylon Burks, who's now the lead guy, it seems. And yeah, like that
Showed
a lot.
A lot of body control near the sidelines and contested catches, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and he plays bigger too. I mean, I know he's got pretty good physical traits, but I mean, he also played pretty big, all things considered. So yeah, I mean, I like this a lot here in the 5th, especially for Tennessee, where we were talking about earlier. What's this team's identity on offense going to be? And I think they're still going to try to do the same thing, just maybe with some new faces. Look at you go. I was like, you cannot be on the end. It is not what I've been seeing this whole time.
There we go. I fixed it. So Kyle Phillips off the board. I heard a little bit there of Harb's breakdown. I agree with everything that you guys said. I like Kyle Phillips. I think it's a good pick for the Titans. I think he can be a long-term starting slot for you. I don't think he's going to blow anyone away, but I think he can play, a decent role in an offense. I think he can get you 40 to 50 catches a year for 600-ish yards. I believe a 4th round grade on him. He was close to my top 100.
I'll tell you what, just kind of kill some air here since we were talking about how we don't know anybody. Tennessee has really gone after the offense here, like especially the skill players, because I felt like I had typed their name a lot on my board. So they got Traylon Burks, obviously, round 1. They took Malik Willis, a quarterback. Kyle Phillips, now a wide receiver. Hassan Haskins, a running back. And then Maryland tight end Quanwo. So they've really taken somebody at every skill position in this draft. So I think they're pretty comfortable with their defense. It sounds like now they're just kind of trying to get a youthful infusion on offense.
I tweeted this yesterday. I like the fit of Malik Willis in Tennessee. Doesn't force him to play right away. Gives him time to learn behind a veteran. The thing I don't get is trading away his number 1 target in A.J. Brown. Sure, you took Traylon Burks, but it's going to take time.
My guess is they didn't know that they were going to take Malik Willis. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't think that was like the plan that they came into. Yeah, I don't know.
We have a trade.
We do have a trade. I was just about to announce that. I wanted to see if we got comp for it, but the Las Vegas Raiders are trading with the Rams. So the Rams are going to go on the clock now. The Raiders have done a lot of trading back in this draft. We just got the comp from Field Yates. It is pick 164 for 175 and 238. So the Rams moving up roughly 9 spots here to make a selection.
Trying to jump the Cowboys, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. They jumped
Minnesota,
Dallas,
Chicago,
Chicago, and Minnesota. Well, they jumped a lot of teams.
Wow, the next 5 picks are Minnesota, Chicago, Dallas, Chicago, Minnesota.
Sorry, I'm trying to actually put out a good tweet for the first time in my life.
Yeah, I'm not a very good tweeter either. Dolphins Twitter is very mad at me because I said I am not 100% sure on the player that they drafted in the 4th round, and everyone's saying, well, of course not. It's the draft. Like, yeah, dude, that's not what I meant, you freaking morons.
Here, you guys can help me. So, Okonkwo, Okonkwo?
Yes, I think.
The pick is in for Los Angeles.
It is in for Los Angeles. Take it, Browning.
I don't know who it is. I just see it's in.
Oh, I thought it got announced.
Nope. Just on my TV, it says pick is in.
Man, what are they doing? Where is Adam Schefter? Just tweet out the list of picks. Why is this? What is going on, man? Oh.
And it is Notre Dame running back Kyren Williams to the Rams. I think that's a really good pick. Really, really good value on him. Harbs or Browning, I don't know if you guys watched him, but if either of you want to talk a little bit about Kyren Williams, I think that's a good pick in the 5th round.
I did watch him. He was my running back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe.
Yeah, he was my RB12 after some adjustments from the testing, just because I knew he was going to kind of drop there. Film was good. But, I mean, yeah, at this point for the Rams, hell, I mean, I like that a lot. They have Cam Akers, obviously, Darrell Henderson. They've shown they don't want to use one back either, as much as they try to with Cam Akers. But I like Kyren Williams a lot there, too. It's a good offense. If you can get good skill players and good offenses, obviously you'll get some form of production from them at some point. So watch Kyren Williams will run for 200 yards in a playoff game and help them win. So that's usually how this works.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Kyren a lot too. I like the film. I had a 3rd round grade on him before he tested, and I try not to move players down the board too much when they test, but there's a difference between testing bad and testing prohibitively bad. And he tested prohibitively bad. Not only did he test prohibitively bad, but he's also small as hell. So that was a double outlier. When you're a double outlier, I adjust you based on that. So Kyren Williams off the board, though, at pick 164. I really like that. That is bringing the Minnesota Vikings back on the clock here at 165.
Carson Strong?
I hope so. I really don't want him to be a UDFA because then I have to sit up here and say that my quarterback 1 was a UDFA.
And I last year with my safety 1.
I was just about to say it happened last year with Browning and his safety 1.
That's a lot different. I feel like nobody's going to really care if your safety 1 goes undrafted. I hate to tell you. I think quarterback 1 going undrafted is not the best. But I'm going to tweet it if it happens. I'm literally going to tweet it if it happens. Just to
the pick is in, but I don't know it yet.
It is Azizi Otamwio, the defensive lineman from Minnesota. Somebody reacted. I think it was Browning. Did you have a chance to get eyes on him? I watched him for the Big Ten.
I did not.
Okay. Yeah, he's another versatile, hands in the dirt, potential 3-tech base defensive end type player. So you're looking at a versatile 3 to 5 tech option. Has good length, has good power. I think that he is probably I'm going to say a rotational player. I don't think he's ever going to be a full-time starter for you, but you can work him in on rundowns. You can trust him to stack blocks and make really good use of his length in the running game. So I like this pick for them. I liked him a decent bit. I think I had a 5th round grade on him. So seeing him go in the 5th round is certainly a good sign. for my board as my quarterback one continues to tumble, putting the Bears on the clock here with the 166th pick. This is a trade down spot for them, I believe.
Hey, Strong is my QB1, so that'd be 2 years in a row. My number one player at different positions goes undrafted.
Jeez. We really suck at this, don't we? I mean, we're just awful, aren't we?
The worst.
We're so bad at this. My goodness.
I had Malik Willis as like a not a generational talent, but a top end talent.
Man, we're terrible. We're all just bad. See, I always
So,
try to preach that in the chat. Yep. Trade. Yep. Sorry. Cincinnati's coming up here to 166 from
Carson
174. Oh,
they like quarterbacks with knee issues. Carson Palmer, Joe Burrow, albeit Burrow got it after the fact.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Harps?
Palmer. No, I was going to say yesterday Bleacher Report was gaslighting these picks in a rather comical fashion, but today they're throwing out some actually interesting tidbits. So whoever's on shift today is doing a much better job, minus the person who wrote up the Pittsburgh's Calvin Austin thing. They put out Torrey Holt got the skinny on Pitt's new wide receiver. That was an actual alert I got. But no, they compared. So what I was bringing it up initially for was they compared the pro comp for Kyron Williams was James White. I don't hate that. I think that's a pretty fair comp. And then who was it? Tyler Algier got a comp, and I loved this one. I didn't even think about it. Was James Conner. I think that's a very good comp there too. So Bleacher Report, good at comps.
Interesting tidbit with the Bears trade with the Bengals here. That is the Bears' fourth trade today. They've made 4 day 3 trades.
Have they been getting 2023 picks the whole time?
I think they got at least one. They did not get any in their most recent deal. They got an extra 7th rounder from the Bengals, and the Bengals are selecting Toledo safety Tyson Anderson with this trade-up selection. Another player that I'm not sure if any of us watched. This is a Devin Jackson brand player, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know they jumped the Cowboys for him.
I know Toledo is directly above Cincinnati because Cincinnati's in the bottom left quadrant of the state. Toledo is right up there next to Michigan, so some extensive geographical analysis from us here at Blue
Do we like Cincinnati's draft haul? Do we feel like they've done a good job this weekend plugging some needs?
Let me pull it up here.
And they got Dax Hill in the first round. I thought that was a pretty good selection.
Well, I will echo Trevor Sikkema. The selections I like if it's not for them to get rid of Jesse Bates. If all of these selections on the defensive back group, like Daxton Hill, Cam Taylor, Britt, or if those are kind of just took another one. If your picks are to kind of dart throw a replacement for Jesse Bates, I don't like it. But that being said, defense really needed some addressing, and they also got Zachary Carter. So, I mean, I like it on paper. It's just a matter of what's the long-term play here.
Cam Taylor Britt was a big reach for me.
Same here. Yeah, I don't know. I think, again, I kind of projected Cam Taylor Britt as a potential safety, not going to lie. So that is, I mean, for me at least, that's maybe 3 safeties for the Bengals in this class. I know Daxton Hill, maybe he comes in and plays slot corner. But even then it's 2 corners and another safety, even if you move Dax Hill to corner. So, I mean, they are just really, really investing in this secondary. They also took Zachary Carter and Cordell Volson, the North Dakota State offensive tackle, in the 4th round. So,
Tyson Anderson is probably my favorite value pick for them. But we have the Cowboys pick.
Fire it if you have it.
Deron Bland, cornerback from Fresno State.
Oh, that's a huge Devin Jackson brand guy. Devin was like really, really early on Deron Bland. We might have a BCS scouting report on him, actually.
Let's see. Is he my draft guide? He's not my draft guide, but I know I watched him.
All right, so I will read off Devin Jackson's salary. or salary, summary. 1-year starter at Fresno State after a 3-year starting stint with Sacramento State. Bland blends an impressive athletic profile with natural instincts that allowed him to experience success at both the FCS and FBS level. He sat out the 2020 season because of the SCS getting canceled. Then he put together a 2021 campaign that included 45 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 5 PBUs. He has natural speed and hip fluidity, and his aggressive profile makes him an intriguing prospect. He stands at 6 foot, 203 pounds. He got an NFLPA invite. He has a versatile profile. He could be a depth defensive back or make a transition to safety because of his ball hawking mindset. Devin had him as a day 3 player. So it seems like good values, a smaller, versatile, rangy player here for the Cowboys.
Yeah, he's a 5th rounder for me. Some strengths. First and foremost, he's very physical. He gets grabby during the stim and doesn't shy away from contact when it comes to deconstructing blocks or hitting the ball carrier. Prefers playing in zone with his eyes back from the QB. Has clean hips and transitioning in space, and he uses the sideline to his advantage. Weaknesses, again, grabby in coverage. Will get called in the NFL for pass interferences or holding. Gets pushed on his heels when he's tested vertically. Lacks body control when he's coming downhill to make a tackle. And doesn't go about deconstructing blocks in the best way. Really, I mean, developmental swing in a corner, I don't hate it.
Is he better than Nahshon Wright?
Yes.
I feel like that's like the only question that if Dallas drafts a corner, is he better than Nahshon Wright? That puts Chicago on the clock here, a team that has done a lot of trading. They traded out of their last pick, but they are on the clock as we are getting close to the end of the 5th round.
How many picks we got left in the 5th?
It looks
1,
like
2, 3,
12
4,
more.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13 more. So
there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is light at the end of the tunnel. The Bears, interesting note here from Field Yates. The Bears began the day with picks 148, 150, and 186. They are going to end up with 168, 174, 203, 207, 226, 254, 205. So they have 5 7th-round picks that they've acquired today in 4 trade backs on day 3 of the NFL draft. Not really sure.
None of them are going to be Carson Strong either, which is mildly upsetting.
I don't know. There's always a team every year that hoards 7th-round picks, and I never understand why.
I think it's usually 7th-round picks, especially if you're hoarding that many of them. I think it's one of those things where you want to be able to guys you would just sign or target the sign and as UDFAs. I think that kind of lets you pick up 2 or 3 of them while also following a board.
Yeah, that's probably a good call. I just never understand it from a roster perspective. Yeah, we do have the pick. It is Braxton Jones, the offensive tackle from Southern Utah. Any watchers on Braxton Jones? He was a athletic standout at the Senior Bowl. I know he's absolutely gigantic. I did not get a chance to watch his film. I considered it. I saw some top 100 hype for him at one point. Let's see what we got here for Braxton Jones from Southern Utah, the offensive tackle, Southern Utah State. Jesus Christ. 6'5", 310, 35-inch arms, ran a 4.97 40, jumped 25 inches in the vert, 109 in the broad. Yeah, I mean, just really good size, really good length. He's a good athlete, but it looks like based on these notes, I mean, you're rebuilding him from a technique standpoint. But I think if you're the Bears, I mean, you're in the 5th round, right? You might as well take a shot on a developmental player.
And you're a first year as a regime with a coaching staff and a front office. So
Yeah,
might as well take somebody that'll be there for you.
Yeah, you also traded back 75 times before you made this pick. So, I mean, you get all the value of the 7th rounders. Probably not going to have to play right away. I don't think there's anything wrong here. I like this dart throw for the Bears. We're going to be saying that a lot as we muddle our way through this 5th round. And we're going to wrap up the BCS live stream. We have been live for 11 hours and 15 minutes the past 3 days. It has been a bit of a grind for us, but it's been fun. It has been fun. I have enjoyed it so far. We were just kind of winding down here the 5th round. We are not going to be live for the 6th and 7th round because we are running out of players that are on our boards to talk about, frankly. We were waiting on Minnesota to make another selection. They took Thomas Booker with their last pick, if I remember correctly. Or no, they took Eric Johnson. Sorry, wrong defensive tackle. They took Eric Johnson with their last pick. A lot of defensive picks for the Vikings. We've had to talk about them a ton. They have really been all over this draft, trading up and down the board in all rounds. None of them to select a quarterback. Maybe they'll take Carson Strong here. I really hope they do, but Ty Chandler is the pick. North Carolina running back. Ty Chandler, Tennessee transfer. Harbs, anything to add here?
Definitely a third down guy, I think, if anything. Because what was the team again? It was Vikings.
Yes.
Oh God, he's probably not going to get much work there. So that's my analysis on it. He has a third down skill set, but I mean, that's really purgatory if you're a running back because you got all pro Dalvin Cook leading the pack, and then you've got Alexander Madison who could probably start a lot of places in the league as a backup. So yeah, no, I think it'll be interesting to see what type of role they kind of carve out for him, if anything. So
I love how this has become use Senior Bowl clips out of context to back up your team selection season.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of my Senior Bowl clips are getting dug up to back up their team selection.
Yeah, that happened to me yesterday with Travis Jones. All of my Travis Jones clips got retweeted by Ravens fans yesterday. We are so Minnesota with Ty Chandler, the running back from North Carolina, off the board. That will put Houston on the clock as we are again winding down here for the stream and the end of the 5th round. Houston, I think, has had a pretty good draft, frankly. I think they've drafted players that can play for them, and they just had so many holes on that roster. I think they've done a nice job just getting solid football players. We'll see if they take a bigger swing here with more of a developmental player. But
Here, I got something to fill airtime here. Who wins more games right now, Houston or Chicago?
Jeez, man. Ty, no. This is no cowards. Give me...
Imagine the first overall pick being decided by something like win percentage or division percentage or whatever.
That would be interesting. I think Chicago wins more games than Houston. I have more faith in that new coaching staff than I do in Houston's coaching staff. That would be the tiebreaker for me.
I think Fields and Mooney in Chicago.
Yeah, and I think even though the Bears maybe haven't done the best job of getting him help, I think Justin Fields gets better regardless of that, and I like him. And as much as I like Davis Mills, I think Fields ends up being much better this year.
Yeah, I don't know who else.
Who is this?
That was the Iowa State guy from last year who ran like a 4.240 or whatever.
No, the Texans pick.
Oh, the Texans are taking Tegan Quitterino, the tight end from Oregon State. He is an Oregon State Beaver. Tegan Quitterino. I am a closet Oregon State fan, by the way, as we are wrapping up the 5th round. He has some off-the-field issues, if I remember correctly. I got a little bit of a glimpse at his tape. I don't know if Harbs, if you watched him all the way through or not.
I did. He got a UDFA grade from me. So he was my tight end 15 out of 17. The only ones that were lower were Nick Muse and Lucas Kroll, which that's a pretty low bar to be ahead of at that point. Where did he go? To Houston? That's a pretty overall thing there, because they use their tight ends more for blocking than they do really. Go ahead.
We have the Broncos selection. I didn't know they're up next.
They traded up with Green Bay. It looks like they're going to take Luke Wattenberg, the center from Washington.
Either of you guys watch him?
No, keep going on Tegan.
Oh no, I was just going to say he was another person. I believe from what I was looking at the background wise, he was a converted hockey player at one point too. So,
Browning, anything on Wattenberg?
Yeah, he played at the Shrine. Only notes I really have is he plays with a super wide base. Wasn't a big fan of that, but I mean the value matches the selection.
who are the next couple picks? Just out of curiosity, team-wise.
San Francisco, New York, Chicago again, Las Vegas would be the next pick as Denver goes with Luke Wattenberg, the center from Washington.
Dante, I saw your message. I'm okay with your plan here.
Yeah. Any input from the president in chief?
Cowboys picked 525, so I'd like to talk about it.
Okay.
I will power through this for the boss.
Yep. They have 2 picks, it looks like, right? Or no, just the one. No, they have 2. Yeah, they have 2.
523 and 525.
523
Which one
and
are we on?
533 and 535.
All right. Well, 2 more picks for Dallas. And this one, they are going to make a couple of picks here on day 3 as we are powering through here almost to the end. Luke Wattenberg, the latest selection, the center from Washington. I did not get eyes on him. I thought about watching Teagan. Didn't watch him either. I'm looking at his stat line right now. 19 catches, 214 yards, 3 touchdowns. In parentheses, career high for Morgan State. So,
yeah, he was one that was very tough to work through as far as, again, Kyle. Oh, well, every time we get an ooh, go ahead.
I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah,
Well,
it
that's
is
not great either.
Toledo cornerback Samuel Womack. Another Toledo corner. I have no idea who this
I got
is.
dibs on this guy. Let's pull it up.
Go for it.
So, Samuel back.
Let's see if he made the beast.
Yeah, there's a good gauge of how things. So the ToledoBlade.com. That's an interesting site name. So 5'10", 187 pounds.
Priority free agent, according to Brugler.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the 5th round.
41 career games. Ran a sub 4.4 at the pro day for Toledo. 36-inch vert. 9 foot 10-inch broad jump. 3-cone drill was 6.87.
It's not bad. 6.87 is a good 3-cone.
And then it says he was a former walk-on, and then now they want me to pay for access to their site so they can kiss my ass. Well, that's all I got on Sam Womack.
All right, well, Samuel Womack. That's 2 Toledo defensive backs coming off the board here in the 5th round. Got to say, I was not expecting that. I knew that Tyson Anderson was out there. I did not know about Samuel Womack, but cool to see some Toledo guys go. I mean, geez.
Toledo DB coach about to be a DC somewhere.
Yeah, really. I mean, he's going to be peddling this on the frickin' recruiting trail for the next couple of months for sure. Maybe the rest of his career, depending on where he ends up.
Has Haskell Garrett been selected?
He has not been selected, and he is not going to be selected with the next pick as the Giants are taking UNC's Marcus McKeithen with the 137th pick.
Marcus McKeithen, huh?
Marcus McKeithen. As that's the 2nd North Carolina player for the Giants in this draft. He's another O lineman. So they've actually drafted 2 North Carolina offensive linemen, which, geez, I don't know if they watched North Carolina film this year, but my goodness. Marcus McKeithen, 6'6", 348-pound guard. I see a lot of UDFA grades here. I did not even know that he existed. He ran a 5.3 40-yard dash at the combine this year. So Marcus McKeithen, the selection here, the guard from North Carolina, 2nd UNC offensive lineman selected by the Giants in this draft. They took the tackle last night. So a tackle and a guard combo from UNC here for the Giants.
Corey Parker is the defensive backs coach at Toledo. We'll give him some airtime as I talk about him for a minute. He was a high school head coach since 2009 to 2019. Had every winning season every time. He had 7 district titles before going to Toledo and becoming their defensive backs coach. So not bad for going from a high school coach to having 2 of your players drafted in the NFL. So that's actually not too bad here. Yeah. There's a link to his Twitter if you want to throw him a follow, Coach at Coach C Parker. Somebody I follows him. Oh, Carl Reed from 24/7 Sports. So of course, but yeah. So yeah, there we go. Good old Coach Parker here.
There you go. Good for him. I mean, maybe he'll be able to be a rising star. Who knows? Maybe he'll get a DC job next and work his way up the chain. I don't know. I think getting 2 cornerbacks from Toledo drafted is pretty doggone impressive.
I'm not even trying to be a smartass. I'm literally just trying to highlight something that I think deserves to be talked about at this point.
I agree with you. I think that's awesome. I'm still reeling at the fact that the Giants watched UNC film this year and came away with the conclusion that the offensive linemen are the players that they want to draft. I don't know how you do that, man. I mean, Sam Howell was running for his, natural born life back there for, I mean, good Lord, my brother in Christ, Joe Shane. I mean, I'm just very confused. I don't want to, waste too much time on a Marcus McKeithen pick, but my goodness. Chicago's back on the clock, I believe, followed by Vegas and then one of the Dallas picks after that. So again, we're waiting on Chicago here as we are getting to the end of the 5th round and to the end of this live stream. I see McKeithen listed as a tackle or a guard. I don't know. Maybe they like the versatility, but we'll see what Chicago wants to do here. I don't know. I don't understand what the Bears are doing. One of the weirder drafts.
Justin Ross would make sense here.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. I mean, if you don't think his career is over because of the medicals, I think you're right. I think it makes a lot of sense. That's another guy I think is going to go undrafted. Justin Ross. I know we've talked about that one too, but I don't think he's going to get picked. But I'd like to see him get picked. I hope he does because I think it makes sense from a football perspective. And he's a good kid. He's just had a lot of bad breaks for sure. You guys remember that catch he made in the national championship game a couple years ago?
Yes. And it was like he's wide receiver 1 going into the next year. And
that took off all his hype.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he would have finished wide receiver 1, but I think he would have been probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick for sure. I mean, T. Higgins went at 33 overall, and he's pretty dang good. I think they're pretty comparable skill set wise, at least.
I think the biggest thing for Ross is after the whole injuries and everything. Like if you watch that national championship season, he's absolutely electric the whole way through. And then it's kind of like Philadelphia MVP season Carson Wentz, and then you go to watch him after the injuries, and it's like you could tell he's just moving with a walker of a body inside. It's just so slow and a shell of what he was before, which is really upsetting.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Also, too, apparently Mel Kiper and Todd McShay were fighting on ESPN.
Oh, you love to see it. The next pick is going to be Dominique Robinson, the Bengals selecting here. Dominique Robinson is going to go to the Bears. Jordan Schultz really just needs to get his team straight. He literally tweeted Bengals, and it is the Bears. So the Bears are taking Dominique Robertson with this pick here. So,
Brownie, you said he was a brand guy for you?
For Devin.
Oh.
A lot of Devin's brand guys have gone today. We had the prop bet for how many times Devin says my guy. We forgot. See, what we missed with that is that Devin was only on for night 1, and most of Devin's brand guys are names that nobody else has watched. That was our mistake.
True.
That is our mistake. So Dominique Robinson off the board here for the Bears as they dip back into the outside linebacker pool. Again, we were talking about it earlier. I do not. This Bears roster, I had it up and we were talking about whether or not we think they'd win more games than Houston. It is not good. I mean, who is like Mooney? We like Fields, Montgomery when he's on the field, but like,
Komet.
But Komet's pretty mid, right? Like he's not a game-breaking tight end. Like he's fine.
No.
But man, I don't know.
Komet, I believe, had some he finished the year strong. Let me.
I mean, I don't think he's a bad player. Like, I don't want to make it sound like I'm like, oh, Cole Kmet sucks. I just don't think that he's like pushing I don't think he's moving the needle.
I forget. Has Punt God gone?
No,
he's not
gone.
Wow.
I lied. Komet didn't even has never had a 100-yard receiving game in his career. So yeah, I think mid's a very good way to.
Yeah. And again, that's a good. I mean, look, that's a hit, right? Like, that's a good draft pick. He's a good player, but like, yeah, I don't know how much I'm relying on him to do a ton. And then to Browning's point, yeah, Punt God has not
he also
gone.
Caught no touchdowns. Sorry.
No, that's not great. They didn't throw a lot of touchdowns last year in his defense, so
fair. Yeah, Punt God.
Punt God's still on the board. I saw a thread by a former Pro Bowl or All-Pro punter. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he released like this huge thread, and he was basically just like, that dude is not as good as everybody thinks he is. And I think clearly the NFL's special teams coordinators tend to agree. I remember reading that thread. There were a ton of concerns about his hang time, how long it takes him to kick the ball. I saw a ton of concerns about that. They think that he takes too long to kick the ball, and they don't like his hang time either. So
I will say too, and this is me not trying to constantly talk about it, but from what I've watched of a certain show, I won't keep naming it. As far as punting goes, I think a really underrated thing is, like you just talked about, how long it takes to get that ball off. Also, too, a lot of things that NFL special teams coordinators and coaches look for now is multi-sport athletes for punters, because then if you just kick your whole life, it's like if something happens where like a play breaks down, you just automatically panic. You're like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? Whereas if you got guys who played baseball, basketball, do whatever, they tend to be a little bit more creative. I don't know if he played other sports growing up, but I know that's one thing that they like about too, where a lot of the Australian guys coming over, having played rugby, obviously you're constantly moving. So when a play breaks down, that's why they've had such an influx in the league. So I have never realized how much there was to punting until I listened to, obviously, I'm talking about this McAfee show, but
yeah,
there are times when they're not on drunk banters and they do actually talk about special teams in the NFL.
Real quick to interject, the next pick has come in. The Raiders are taking Tennessee defensive tackle Matthew Butler. Browning, I don't know if you watched him. I did. I had a fourth on him, so I think this is a pretty good pick.
I really like Butler. He's not elite explosive, but he's not bad in that area. Good at gaining leverage quickly. Has a couple pass rush moves in his arsenal, but he doesn't string them together. Able to shoot gaps and get disruption against a run, but he lacks the anchor to hold up against double teams. Versatile player lined up from shade 2 to 3 to 5 technique. Attacks with great power. Shows good ability to disengage from blocks. I really like him, and I have to think he was a Dallas target with the next pick.
Yeah, I really liked him too. I thought he was I think he could be a solid 3-tech. I think he's a guy that you can play at 60 to 80% of snaps and feel okay about him out there. So had a really good Shrine week as well, if I remember correctly. I think he was a standout at that game. I liked his film. I had a really high day 3 grade on him. So I like this pick for Vegas, another team that has done a lot of wheeling and dealing. And as Browning just mentioned, Dallas is on the clock with one of they're going to make 2 of the next 3 selections here. So we'll get to see our good friend's live reaction to his favorite team's pick as Dallas is making another selection. Browning, I'm assuming you're still not feeling good about this class overall.
No, not really.
That's 2 years in a row. I mean, I know Micah Parsons was really, really good. I think we all felt good about that pick, but I think the rest of that class maybe not the best.
I didn't like it because I didn't think they were going to use them the way they did. Nothing in their previous drafts had given us any indication they were going to use him as the versatile unicorn he was. So I was really skeptical of it. Happy to see that they changed their philosophy and started using him that way. But, I mean, all the Cowboys picks have been exactly as expected. Nothing off books or bases whatsoever for them. So, fairly disappointed. I'm looking through the 30 list, guys, to see if I can peg anyone. Let's see here. Dawson Deaton might be a selection if he's still available. David Anaya, the Houston edge.
He's still on the board.
James Houston, the Jacksonville State linebacker. Luigi Villan, the Wake Forest edge. And there's an Oklahoma State linebacker they brought in.
Oh, Malcolm Rodriguez.
I think it's a different one.
Oh, there's two. I didn't even know there was two.
Let's see here.
Damn, where is this pick is taking forever. We are caught up to my stream, which is behind.
Fun fact, as I'm scrolling through Twitter looking at little tidbits here. Do you guys remember Harvey Unga at BYU? He was a real fun player back in the day. I think
Devin Harper is Oklahoma State linebacker. Sorry, Harps.
Oh, good. Harvey Unga, most notably, I think if I remember right, didn't he he had something where he got kicked out of BYU over one of the religious rules, and he had to go to the supplemental draft, and I think the Bears took him, but he's now their running back coach, so he was hyping up Tyler Algier to Atlanta.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, supplemental pick in 2010. I'm such a loser for remembering that.
Now, I was 10 years old when that happened. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was his girlfriend was pregnant.
You can't get a girl pregnant at BYU?
Well, I think it's the whole premarital relationship.
Oh, they weren't married. Oh,
but they were but they got married after he left campus, and he is actually his wife.
Oh, I like it.
It is LSU linebacker Damone Clark for the Cowboys, player who had a lot of day two hype, but got caught up with a neck injury, I believe. Browning, I'll let you talk about Clark here and what you like about him.
Real quick, let me edit the banner.
I really liked Clark. I'll just fill in the airtime here. I mean, I liked Clark as a good will linebacker. I had him graded pretty similarly to Christian Harris, who the Texans took last night. As far as stylistically, I think both of those players are pretty similar as well. I think you get a lot of the same stuff there. I think obviously Clark's medical history is what pushed him down, but I think he would have been a day two pick if he was healthy.
Yeah, he was my linebacker 6 with a day 2 grade. I had him better than Christian Harris. He has a fantastic second year, able to chase ball carriers down from the opposite hash. Good processor, quick to diagnose plays, navigates traffic around the box well. He's adequate in coverage, could stand to improve, but he's not bad. High motor player, wraps up when tackling. Would like to see him add some violence when he's shedding blocks. Don't see many true pass rush reps where he attacks with a defined move. Resorts to out-athleting blockers a lot. Takes good cutoff angles versus the run. I like this. It's a typical Cowboys day 3 swing on a injured player with high upside. It's probably one of their best value picks of the draft, I think.
Yeah, I like it as well. So Damon Clark coming off the board here, a guy who probably would have gone higher if he didn't have the medicals. So really interesting to see how the linebackers came off the board this year. Obviously, we saw Nakobe Dean fall because of medicals. We saw Chad Muma and Devin Lloyd go to the same team. So some interesting linebacker talking points coming out of this class. Again, we are winding down here in the 5th round. Detroit is on the clock, followed by Dallas and Green Bay. And then that is it, guys. So we are in the final 3 of our NFL draft stream, as we are all probably going to push it just to about 4 hours for a 3rd straight day, as this stream started around 12 o'clock. As we're going to hop out of here after the 5th round and let everyone enjoy the 6th and 7th round without listening to our voices. But Dallas will make another pick. Detroit has another pick. Green Bay has another pick. I'm sure that we will do some kind of draft recap stream in the coming days, so stay tuned to that. Subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell to get notified when that happens. I'm sure we'll have a pretty good panel of people on. I will not be on, but I'm sure we can put together a pretty good BCS panel for that. As we are, again, just waiting for Detroit to make another selection, and it is Virginia Tech to tight end James Mitchell, the selection.
For Detroit?
For Detroit.
I did not watch him.
I
know my
might
friend
have
Corey
watched
will
him.
be happy. Hanukkah Matata.
Hakuna Matata, I think is.
It's
or
Hanukkah.
Hanukkah Matata. Yeah, no, I know. I know the play on it. What was I going to say? I know for James Mitchell, I was always laughing when I was trying to look up stuff on him before I was trying to dig into film, which I couldn't really get into, or find for that matter.
That's because he didn't play this year. He got hurt. He missed almost the entire 2021 season. 2020 film, I have him as just a athletic freak with, a lot of upside. I had a 5th round grade on him. He goes in the 5th round. I'm cool with this. I think this is a good swing here for Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, and it seems like too, like from what I was looking into it, it seems like he's a tough, hard-nosed player. So again, your classic Dan Campbell pick here at this point.
Yeah.
That's a front office too, Browning. And here, I'll shamelessly plug this too. For my YouTube page, I've got the draft video series all put up that I found over the off seasons, and Detroit is a really fun one to watch because literally that coaching staff and that front office is one of the few that really are in sync with each other, where they kind of work and run through everything with each other. Dan Campbell, I think, has as much say on that roster as Brad Holmes does, but they also have a lot of the same interests. So that's a very good marriage they've got in Detroit to get things going.
Again, we are waiting on Dallas to make the 34th pick of the 5th round.
The pick is in, but I don't have it yet.
I do not have it yet either. I have it now. It is Arkansas defensive tackle John Ridgway for the Cowboys. I don't know, Browning, if you
Jerry
watched
Jones
him.
gets his razor back.
Yeah.
I believe I did. Let me double check. Yeah, he was a 5th rounder for me. Let me get to his report real quick.
Well, that works because he went.
He was my lowest graded defensive tackle. Not very explosive off snap. He looks labored in his movement. Doesn't engage his hips at a high level. Pad level can get raised when he's double teamed, and it renders him virtually ineffective. Subbed off the field for most passing downs, so he's pretty much a run stuffer. Measured in at 6'6", 320, and it shows on film. Projects as a best as a 1 or 0 tech. Able to navigate traffic around the box at pretty well high level. Capable of 2-gapping. Leverages himself into the backfield on running plays to generate pressure. Not very versatile. This is strictly a 0-1 tech. As a nasty bull rush, I like it. Cowboys have needed a 1 tech for a long time, and they finally get it.
I was going to say, everything you said just was such a glowing review. I was like, wow, we're super excited about this pick. But then, like you said, if that's the role that they need in Dallas, then so be it.
I think it's a good pick. I mean, I think if you get a run-stuffing defensive tackle that you feel comfortable playing 20 to 30% of snaps in the 5th round, I mean, I think that's about as good as you're going to get at this point in the draft, frankly. All right, so we are waiting on the last pick. It is going to be Green Bay. They have the final pick of the 5th round, the final pick of the BCS NFL draft live coverage. It has been a 12-hour grind. We'll see who the last player we get to talk about is. Hopefully it's somebody that we watched. Again, we are going to sign off after Green Bay makes
the pick.
The Packers. Packers back on the clock.
Oh, take Carson Strong.
That would be so funny. That would be hilarious. Really cool video the Jets just tweeted out too is their area scout who scouted, and I know who the Packers pick is, but he scouted Max Mitchell in college, and he made the phone call to tell him that he was coming to the Jets. So pretty cool video there if you want to check that out. And the last pick of the 5th round is South Carolina edge Kingsley and Gabare going to the Green Bay Packers. finally is right. Even I didn't really love him, but I had him about 70 picks higher than this on my board. So this is very good value for the Green Bay Packers. Browning, I'm assuming you wrote him up. If you want to give a quick breakdown of his game.
I did. Give me 1 second here. Let me get the pick up. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about him a little bit. I just think this is an effort player, right? This is an effort edge. He gets a lot of his sacks just working through contact and continuing to use his length and some of his power to, get to quarterbacks who are, kind of forced off their spot. I didn't particularly love him in the running game. I didn't particularly love him as a pass rusher either. I think we were either talking about him pre-show or during the draft. I honestly can't remember. It's all starting to blend together for me at this point. But I just think he's very meh. Had a 4th round grade on him. This is good value for the Packers. I'm fine with it.
I was a bit higher on him than you. He got a low 2 for me. He doesn't fly off the snap, but when he kicks it into another gear, becomes very explosive. He has some ankle flexion to his game. It's not overly prominent, but it's there. Has a variety of moves at his disposal. Saw the cross chop, dip and rip, swim, and long arm. Could stand to gain some ghost moves, but it's adequate for the time being. Needs to develop a true plan of attack. He has some moves, but he doesn't string them together very well. High motor player, as Dante said. Leverages himself well against contact. Good disengaging ability against the run, but doesn't have the best anchor. Athletic player, light on his feet, able to change the gap. He's attacking quickly. Plays with heavy hands. Can rush standing up or handle the dirt. I liked Kingsley. I expected him to go round 3 rather than 2nd, but 5 into 5th is phenomenal value for me.
All right. Well, that is the end. That is the end of the 5th round. We have finally made it. Another 4-hour stream pretty much in the books. That is going to wrap up our BCS live coverage. I won't ask you guys for final thoughts because I think we're going to pull up another stream probably in the coming days to get final thoughts from some guys. Just to throw it out there, Punt God was just drafted with the first pick of the 6th round.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, Matt Ariza is going to Buffalo with the first pick of the 6th round. So don't say we didn't tell you that Punt God was drafted because he was. So that is going to wrap it up for me at Browning and Harves. We are going to sign off and let you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're still watching, we really appreciate it. If you're watching this back on YouTube, we really appreciate it as well. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. We're going to continue covering this draft class for the next couple of weeks before we flip the site and everything else over to 2023. So again, thank you. It's been an honor to host 12 hours of draft coverage this week. It has been a lot of fun, and we will catch up with you guys when we review this class because I'm assuming we're going to have a lot to talk about in the coming days. But again, thank you for watching. Signing off, Dante Collinelli, Tyler Browning, Andrew Harbaugh.